Chapter 8:22. Inside the thousand-devil nest, the king of hell appeared, and the white tiger divine god's weapon of slaughter rang out. The terrifying sound reverberated, destroying one's soul. In an instant, miserable cries rang out from the yellow spring divine restriction. Wherever the sound passed, the void distorted, and the formless sound waves rushed towards the origin of the demons, bringing out a waterfall of black mist. You didn't keep your word. Distorted faces and malicious curses were heard. The origin of the demons was constantly dissipating, and they were also restricted by the yellow spring. They could neither advance nor retreat. Keep my word? I'm not stupid enough to keep my word with the demons. While speaking, Ning Chen's phoenix essence kept rising, catalyzing the divine Zither's slaughter power, mercilessly slaughtering the demons. Bang bang. Explosive sounds rang out, and in the reverberating king of hell's profound sound, several demons could not bear the terrifying killing aura. Their souls exploded, and their origin aura dissipated between heaven and earth. Ha! Ning Chen shouted, and the phoenix appeared behind him, spitting out the demon body. Immediately, the demon essence released by the demons before they exploded was absorbed into the demon body, speeding up its recovery. The demons were alarmed, and they kept attacking the yellow spring divine restriction. However, the profound sound penetrated their souls, and their power was restricted, making it difficult for them to use even 10 or 20%. The supreme phoenix essence was sublimated, and in the entire thousand-devil nest, red light flickered. The phoenix that was reborn before nirvana, although its cultivation did not break through perfection, its foundation and bloodline were stronger than before, approaching atavism. King of Hell divine Zither's voice shook the world, and the phoenix's divine flames were dazzling. The most terrifying demon-slaying combination turned thousand-devil nest into a purgatory, incinerating all demons. All of you, block the Zither sound, I will break through this restriction. Just as the demons were about to perish, the strongest demon among them yelled in a deep voice. Ah! Before it finished speaking, several more demons were wiped out by the Zither sound, and their demonic essence dispersed, sucked dry. Without any other choice, the demons forcefully used what little soul power they had left to form a barrier in front of the desolate demon, giving him time to prepare. Outside the divine restriction, Ning Chen saw this, and his left hand streaked across the Zither strings. Drops of phoenix blood dyed the Zither red, and divine flames illuminated the world, transforming into a phoenix. King of Hell, silence, life and death is determined. With a thump, the Zither sound waves spread out. In the thousand-devil nest, heaven and earth darkened, and then there was a terrifying destruction. Wherever the phoenix-shaped Zither sound waves passed, heaven and earth was destroyed. Ah! The demons groaned in unison. Black mist exploded and hundreds of demonic shadows dispersed. Demonic chi was sucked out and seeped into the body of the black-clothed figure floating in the void. Block it. Seeing Qin Bo's astonishing power, among the devils, desolate devil bellowed and said angrily. Upon hearing this, all of the demons raised their soul power once more. Billowing demonic waves transformed into an inescapable net that forcefully obstructed the Zither music. The phoenix screeched and flames curled up around it. It broke through the inescapable net and crashed into the 10,000 demons. Immediately, shrill cries filled the air. Demonic shadows exploded one after another, unable to withstand the power of the yang godly fire. 9 thoughts of divine transformation, 8 desolations of demons. The moment the extreme divine flame arrived, among the devils, desolate devil's devil essence was fully accumulated. With a deep shout his devil might erupted. Demonic essence shook the phoenix fire. This was a direct confrontation between a god and a demon. Rumbling sounds echoed throughout the heavens and earth. The phoenix that had withstood tens of thousands of demons gradually dissipated in the demonic essence. Break for me. With the appearance of hope, desolate devil activated his soul force again, his devil essence sweeping out, smashing into the divine forbidden barrier in front of him. You can't come out. Ning Chen snorted coldly. With a wave of his left hand, an illusory bell image appeared in the divine forbidden barrier. An incomparable pressure surged out, instantly destroying all the laws in the surroundings. The immortal bell appeared again, the demonic essence collided with it. With a violent tremor, the bell swayed. An unprecedented terror appeared. The bell waves vibrated, destroying the heavens and earth. Eastern Emperor Bell. Seeing the immortal bell that appeared in the void, desolate devil's pupils shrank as he cried out involuntarily. Who exactly are you? Why do you have the immortal artifact of the Lord of the Eastern Immortal World? If you want to know who I am, ask King Yama when you reach the underworld. She will tell you. Ning Chen's left hand slashed across the divine zither. Blood splattered as the phoenix fire ignited the prairie. The increasingly terrifying zither music surged out, passing through the divine forbidden barrier and colliding with the immortal bell. The sound of the bell reverberated, destroying souls and taking lives. The terrifying might made Ning Chen, who was outside the divine forbidden barrier, feel a wave of restlessness in his blood. Inside the divine forbidden barrier, more and more demonic shadows exploded. Demonic aura surged violently, constantly entering the floating demonic bodies in the void. It was endless, like an endless abyss that could never be satisfied. Forced into a dead end, under the suppression of the soul-suppressing banner, the demons were unable to use their abilities. With the suppression of the immortal bell and the divine Guqin, the number of casualties increased. In less than an hour, out of the 10,000 demonic shadows, only a few thousand great demons were barely holding on. Use the forbidden technique. Death was near, and it was hard to reverse. Desolate Devil looked at the great demons and shouted. Without any more time to hesitate, the great demons made up their minds. With a shout, their demonic souls began to burn. Demonic soul sacrifice, life synchronization curse. The demon race's forbidden technique, life synchronization curse. One by one, the great demons burned their demonic souls, using their own soul essence as a sacrifice to curse the people outside. Outside the divine forbidden barrier, Ning Chen suddenly staggered. His body ignited with a strange curse fire, and his vitality rapidly dissipated. The life synchronization curse was forbidden inside and outside the divine forbidden barrier. Thousands of great demons used their demonic souls as a sacrifice to curse knowing destiny, wanting to drag him into hell with them. With the 1,000 demon curse, Ning Chen felt a tearing pain all over his body. The hand that was playing the Guqin was bleeding profusely. Phoenix, let's go to hell together. Desolate Devil formed a seal, and the soul flames around him surged like waves. Boundless soul essence burned crazily. Outside the divine forbidden barrier, Ning Chen groaned. He had a splitting headache, and the vitality in his body dissipated even faster. I have been to hell several times. Now, it is time to send you all there. Amidst the extreme pain, Ning Chen clenched his right hand. The phoenix behind him screeched, and a plain-clothed figure flew out and floated in front of him. I have plenty of vitality. With a shout, Ning Chen raised his hand and pressed it on his main body's chest. Devouring power spread out, rapidly extracting the vitality of his main body. In an instant, boundless vitality poured into his body, replenishing the vitality that was taken away by the 1,000 demon curse. Inside the divine forbidden barrier, the 1,000 demons were shocked. They looked at the phoenix's third body, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. In their memories, there were quite a number of experts who had mastered the doppelganger technique. However, there were very few people who could master all 3 bodies to such an extent. No, there is something wrong with that body of his. As the great demon's soul essence burned out, the shock in their eyes intensified. What was going on? Logically speaking, the phoenix's vitality should have been burned out long ago. Phoenix, do you really want to perish together with me? Among the demons, Desolate Demon suppressed the panic in his heart and shouted, Perish together? You are not qualified. Ning Chen endured the pain of his vitality being stripped away and said coldly, What good will it do you to kill us? As long as you are willing to stop, we are willing to follow you forever. Sensing that their soul essence was almost exhausted, the demons panicked and said anxiously, Give me your soul imprints, and I will spare your lives, Ning Chen said. Impossible! Hearing the former's request, Desolate Demon's expression changed, and he said angrily, "Then go to hell." Ning Chen's eyes turned cold. His bloody left hand pulled the zither strings, and with a thump, he started the massacre again. The zither waves collided with the immortal bell, and an even more terrifying sound burst out. Several great demons could not withstand the immortal pressure, and their bodies exploded, forever disappearing from the world. "Submit or die!" Ning Chen shouted again. With death in front of them, the demons did not dare to hesitate. They all knelt and offered their soul imprints. In the next moment, soul flames rose one after another and flew forward. Outside the divine restriction, Ning Chen raised his hand and grabbed the souls of the demons. His eyes looked at the only one who did not submit, and said coldly, "What about you?" Desolate Demon's eyes revealed a struggle. Looking at the demons kneeling in front and behind him, he was shocked and angry. "Speak, submit or die!" Ning Chen shouted again. Desolate Demon's body trembled. While struggling in his heart, he still knelt down and offered his soul imprint. The soul flame flew out, and it was so bright. Ning Chen waved his hand and grabbed it. He looked at the demons kneeling in front of him and said calmly, "From today onwards, I am the monarch, and you are the ministers. If the monarch dies, the ministers die, the monarch will rise, and your names will shake the world." The demons bowed and replied respectfully. Ning Chen walked forward and raised his hand to disperse the divine restriction. He said, "Who trapped you here?" 10,000 years ago, the heavenly Buddha Lord of Shumi Buddha country, Desolate Demon replied. Hearing this, Ning Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. It was actually the Buddha country's lord. These great demons were not ordinary demons when they were alive. To be able to kill and suppress them here, that heavenly Buddha Lord's strength was truly unimaginably terrifying. After thinking for a moment, Ning Chen turned back and looked at the soul-subduing banner stuck in the stone wall. After thinking for a moment, his figure flashed and came forward. He raised his hand and touched it. The soul-subduing banner trembled, and an extremely strong repulsive force came. Ning Chen frowned, and phoenix flames rose around him, covering the demonic chi around him. Not far away, the demons looked forward nervously. They had been trapped in this thousand-devil nest for more than 10,000 years, unable to live or die. It was all because of this soul-subduing banner. In these 10,000 years, there were many people who wanted to pull out this banner, but they all failed. That heavenly Buddha Lord from 10,000 years ago was too strong. Almost no one could move a heavy artifact forged with Buddha blood. Outside the thousand-devil nest, the cold moon shone. Under the moon, a beautiful figure descended from the sky, holding a red umbrella, as graceful as a fairy. Moon Weaver appeared and looked at the thousand-devil nest in front of her, waiting quietly. A moment later, the ground inside and outside the thousand-devil nest began to rumble. Cracks appeared and spread out, reaching thousands of miles away. Buddhist light flourished in the cave. A startling, mysterious phenomenon shook everyone's heart. A person who slaughters Buddhas has been recognized by Buddha. How ironic! Feeling the waves of pressure coming from the thousand-devil nest, Moon Weaver's face flashed with ridicule. Dozens of years ago, Marquis had gone to Buddha Mountain and seen Buddha. No one had expected this. Perhaps even the 3 Buddha lords of Buddha Mountain didn't think this blood-soaked youth could see Buddha. "Buddha, why did you acknowledge this person? When did the mercy of Buddhism begin to forgive an executioner who had committed heinous crimes?" Inside the Thousand Buddha cave, phoenix flames curled around the soul-subduing banner. The Buddhist light on the soul-subduing banner gradually weakened. The heavy Buddhist artifact that had suppressed the thousand-devil nest for 10,000 years flew into Jiming's hands. "Buddha, the person you recognize will eventually become a member of my devil palace. Your recognition is meaningless." Moon Weaver sneered outside the cave. She didn't stay any longer and took a step forward, soaring into the sky. Chapter 8:23. The cold moon was desolate, and the devil's den was eerie. Around the red-clothed body, devil shadows coiled around, and devil chi surged, shocking everyone. Above the void, the devil body and the main body floated up and down. One was dressed in black, while the other was dressed in white. They had been sleeping for dozens of years, and had never woken up. Ningchen stood in front, his left hand guiding the devil chi into the devil body, while his right hand condensed phoenix essence to repair the main body. Hours passed, and he did not rest for a moment. Behind him, thousands of great devils stood respectfully, and no one dared to disturb him. Outside the thousand devil nest, the cold moon moved west, and in the east, a touch of white appeared. Dawn was coming, and day and night were alternating again. Master! Inside the devil's den, Desolate Devil bowed respectfully and said, "The sun is about to rise, and we do not have a physical body. Our strength will soon be suppressed, and we might not be able to provide Master with enough devil chi." "It's fine, it's enough." Ningchen put down his left hand, and the surging devil chi disappeared. He turned to look at the devils and said calmly, "I will do my best to help you find your physical bodies. Now, all of you can return to the soul-suppressing banner." "Thank you, Master." The devils accepted the order, and their figures turned into black chi and flew into the soul-suppressing banner. Ningchen waved his hand and kept the soul-suppressing banner. He looked at the two bodies floating in the void, and his eyes flashed with emotion. The phoenix had the ability to be reborn, but the devil body and the main body could not. It was not easy to restore the two bodies. "Master, our devil race's power and the phoenix's power are not compatible. If Master obtains these two powers at the same time, won't there be any rejection?" Inside the soul-suppressing banner, Desolate Devil was puzzled. Ningchen nodded and said, "Until now, I have not been able to fuse the devil body and the phoenix body's power together. However, I have cultivated the life scroll, and can change the nature of these two powers. I can barely suppress the repulsion of the devil and phoenix essence." "The beginning of the heavenly books, the life scroll?" Desolate Devil was shocked and said, "Why did Master not use the power of this scroll just now?" The foundation of the life scroll was unparalleled. If Master used the power of this scroll, together with the suppression of the soul-suppressing banner and Shenin, they would not even have the chance to resist. "It's temporarily." Ningchen looked at his main body floating in front of him and said, "Do you know where there is a large amount of life force? I need a lot of life force essence." After a long while, he opened his mouth and said, "We have been trapped here for too long, and do not understand the situation outside. However, the ones who occupy the most resources in the world are undoubtedly the top sects like Buddha Mountain Shumi and the Demon Palace. If Master wants to find the source of life, perhaps he can consider these places. Buddha Mountain, Devil Palace." Ningchen's eyes narrowed as he muttered, "Master." Desolate Devil raised his voice and said solemnly, "If a man doesn't do it for himself, the heavens will destroy him. Meaningless kindness is useless. With Master's strength, as long as he is ruthless, it won't be difficult for him to fight for these resources." Ningchen did not reply. The figure of a phoenix appeared behind him, swallowing the two bodies into its stomach. Soon after, it walked out of the thousand devil nest. Indeed, he did not like fighting. Perhaps it was because he was born this way, or perhaps it was because there was too much blood on his body and he was already tired of it. However, when it was necessary, he would not be soft-hearted. "Master." Desolate Devil spoke again. "Say no more, I know what to do." Ningchen walked out of the thousand devil nest and looked at the rising sun in the east. He said, "Now, come with me to do something." "What is it?" Desolate Devil asked. "Kill," Ningchen said calmly. Desolate Devil was startled. He quieted down and did not say anything else. At the same time, in the all-heaven starfield, on the vast Buddha mountain in the Shumi Buddhist kingdom, white-clothed novice monks were meditating. They were holding prayer beads and chanting Buddhist scriptures day and night. At the moment when the sun rose from the east, a figure in a silver-gray cloak slowly walked over from the east. His starry eyes were sharp, and his noble and powerful aura was shocking. On the Buddha mountain, the heavenly, earthly, and human Buddhist masters sensed it. They opened their eyes and looked at the newcomer. A ray of light flashed past their eyes. That person had actually come. Ahead of them were white-clothed novice monks. The Dawn Moon Building's master walked past them. The surrounding golden Buddhist power could not touch her at all. Behind her, the veiled Hong Luan followed silently. Dawn Moon Building's Mo Xiaowai pays his respects to the three Buddhist masters. The Dawn Moon Building's master stopped and greeted politely. Dawn Moon Building's master, we are honored by your presence. Please forgive us for not going out to welcome you, the human Buddhist master said calmly. The human Buddhist master is too courteous. I have come rashly and disturbed you, the Dawn Moon Building's master said with a smile. May I know why you have come from afar? The earthly Buddhist master asked. To see Buddha, the Dawn Moon Building's master answered honestly. Your status is extraordinary. Is there anything in the world that you cannot resolve? The human Buddhist master asked again. Several decades ago, the ninth son of the Mahist sect saw Buddha on the Buddha mountain. This matter is known to the world. I have admired it for a long time. Today, I have come to seek an audience, the Dawn Moon Building's master said calmly. You should know that Buddha is not someone you can meet just because you want to. If you are not fated, even if you can ascend the wishing mountain, you will not be able to see Buddha's face, the earthly Buddhist master replied. I have come with sincerity. I hope that the three Buddhist masters can make an exception, the Dawn Moon Building's master said seriously. What do you want to ask? The heavenly Buddhist master, who had been silent all this while, asked calmly. The fourth realm, the Dawn Moon Building's master replied. There are many inheritances in the world. The Hall of the Dead, the two lineages, and the four pavilions. None of them are weaker than the Buddha mountain. Why have you come to the Buddha mountain to inquire? The heavenly Buddhist master continued. Because the Buddha mountain is the only inheritance that has truly surpassed the third realm, the Dawn Moon Building's master replied honestly. Do you think that the Buddha of the Buddha mountain is the fourth realm? The heavenly Buddhist master asked slowly. The Dawn Moon Building's master shook her head and said, I have no intention of offending you. That day, the Buddha of the Buddha mountain appeared, and the world knew about it. I think that other than me, everyone would also want to know what the existence of Buddha represents. The heavenly Buddhist master was silent. After a while, he said, Master, I am not deliberately making things difficult for you. You are different from the ninth son of the Mahist sect. It is almost impossible for you to see Buddha. The Dawn Moon Building's master's eyes flashed with surprise. She said, I would like to hear more. Your Excellency has interacted with the ninth son of Mahist many times. You should know very well that although he is stained with blood, he is actually a very sentimental person. More importantly, he has great merit that no one else has. Even our Buddha could not easily accept his worship. He came with sincerity and knelt with sincerity, so our Buddha had no choice but to meet him, Heavenly Buddha Lord replied. Hearing this, the Dawn Moon Building's master narrowed her eyes slightly. So that was the case. It seemed that it was not a coincidence that the Marquis of Jiming could see this Buddha of the Buddha mountain. Although she did not know how strong this Buddha of the Buddha mountain was, according to the heavenly Buddhist master's words, this Buddha could not easily accept the worship of the Marquis of Jiming. This meant that this Buddha could not turn a blind eye to the karma of the world. Thank you, Buddhas. Since I have no fate with Buddha, I will not disturb you any further. See you again someday. The Dawn Moon Building's master cupped her fists and said goodbye. Amit Ba. Take care, master. The three Buddhas of heaven, earth, and man chanted together and said politely. The Dawn Moon Building's master nodded and did not stay any longer. She turned and left. Behind her, Hong Luan stepped forward and followed, her beautiful eyes full of confusion. Master, why did you leave just like that? After leaving the Buddha mountain, Hong Luan finally could not help but ask the question in her heart. The heavenly Buddhist master's meaning is very clear. This Buddha of the Buddha mountain will not appear easily. That time with the Marquis of Jiming was an exception. There is no point for us to stay any longer, the Dawn Moon Building's master said with a smile. Isn't Buddha supposed to help those who are fated? We came here with sincerity. Why didn't he even give us a chance to try? Hong Luan said with some dissatisfaction. Ha! The Dawn Moon Building's master chuckled and said, there are countless people in the world who are sincerely seeking Buddha. If Buddha had to meet every sincere person, the world would be in chaos. Therefore, it is only fair that we do not meet. Hearing this, Hong Luan was startled and fell silent. After the two left, at the peak of the Buddha mountain, the human Buddha master looked in their direction and said, "Heavenly Buddhist master, the Dawn Moon Building's master is an incredible person. If you can form a good relationship with her, it will be of great help to the Buddha mountain." The heavenly Buddhist master opened his eyes, and a little brilliance flashed in his eyes. He said, "This person is different from the 9th son of the Mahist clan. The Dawn Moon Building's master is a businesswoman. She only weighs the pros and cons in her heart, not favors. A good relationship cannot be exchanged for anything. In the future, when the Buddha mountain is faced with a great disaster, the Dawn Moon Building's master will most likely choose to stand by and do nothing. She will not help wholeheartedly for a favor." What about the 9th son of the Mahist clan? What's different about him? Why did the heavenly Buddhist master treat him so differently? His actions in the ancient battlefield are enough to show that he is definitely a ruthless person, the Earth Buddha master said, puzzled. Different. Heavenly Buddha Lord shook his head and said, "It is not easy to make someone who does not believe in Buddhism kneel before Buddha. Although this boy is cruel, he is also very compassionate. The idea of the afterlife is illusory, and no one except for the people of Buddhism believes in it. This boy is willing to come to Buddha Mountain for a possibility that he himself does not believe in. It can be seen that the 9th son of Mahist is not as cold and heartless as the legends say. Moreover, the power of merit in him is unprecedented in this world. A person with such great merit must be very kind." Chapter 8:24. Ingui Sek's phoenix descended, full of killing intent. Phoenix flames surged around its body, illuminating the sun and turning the entire horizon blood red. On Immortal Trapping Mountain, red light spread out, sealing off all paths of retreat. In the Ingui Sek's sacred palace, the Ingui sect master opened her eyes, got up, and walked to the front of the sacred palace. Looking at the red-clothed figure descending from the sky in the distance, ripples flashed through her beautiful eyes. "Is he the person Danji took away back then?" asked Ingui sect master. "Master, it's him," replied Ingui Holy Maiden. "Do you know who he is?" asked Ingui sect master coldly. "Disciple doesn't know." Ingui Holy Maiden shook her head. "Mogate's 9th son," said Ingui sect master coldly. Ingui Holy Maiden's body shook, her eyes filled with disbelief. In front of Ingui sect, the 7 holy maidens all moved out. Lutes, zither, swords, and other spiritual artifacts all displayed their might as they worked together to block the intruder. "Back down." Ning Chen's expression turned cold. Genesis Supreme appeared in his right hand, and with a slash, an unparalleled sword might surged out, sending the 7 holy maidens flying. Ugh! There was no suspense. With the absolute difference in strength, the 7 holy maidens were sent flying with a single slash. Ning Chen strode past them, not giving them another glance as he walked toward Ingui sect master's sacred hall. Ingui sect master took a step forward, her body like a startled swan. Her palm was surrounded by an aura as it slammed towards the person in front of her. Ning Chen's figure shot out, his sword opening the gate of heaven. He did not dodge, directly receiving the attack. Ultimate martial dazzling world was incomparably sharp. The sword light slashed apart the pink aura and sent the woman flying with a boom. Ingui sect master retreated several steps. Blood dripped from her jade-white arm, dyeing her gauze dress red. "Mogate's 9th son, my Ingui sect has no enmity with you. Why must you be so ruthless?" Ingui sect master looked at the red-clothed youth in front of her. Ningchen did not speak. Genesis Supreme spun in his right hand, shining with dazzling azure light. An abnormally powerful sword pressure spread, and his killing intent flourished. Ingui sect master's expression darkened as anger flashed across her charming face. She circulated her true essence and stirred the yin qi between heaven and earth to gain the initiative by striking first. She was surrounded by a pink mist that could arouse one's desires. The Ingui sect's secret technique, the art of seduction, was directed toward the knowing destiny state. Sword art, chaotic nothingness. Ning Chen brandished his sword, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. However, wherever the sword light passed, its power could devour the heavens and destroy the earth. The pink powder couldn't stop it, and they were all devoured. Ingay sect master blocked the attack, but with a muffled groan he retreated several steps. The gap between them was indescribable. She was the sect master of a sect, a beauty that could topple the world, and a famous true realm expert. But at this moment, she seemed so insignificant that she couldn't even control her own life. Sword art, extreme heaven. Genesis Supreme moved once more, and the winds and clouds of the 9 heavens shifted. Extreme sword might swept out from Ning Chen's body, and the heavens instantly changed color. The space for 100 li around him became a domain of the sword, and with a single slash, the heavens split open. Ingui sect master's expression changed dramatically, and a look of fear appeared on her devastatingly beautiful face. She pushed her true essence to the limit and blocked the sword power falling from the sky. Arg! With a mournful groan, the sword light pierced through her body, bringing out a beautiful waterfall of blood. Ingui sect master's chest was bleeding profusely, and he retreated again and again. Femme fatale, an extremely beautiful woman, in front of absolute power, couldn't change her fate. The blood that spilled on the ground was so dazzling and beautiful. Heavily injured, Ingui sect master's knees involuntarily fell to the ground, and he coughed with difficulty. Young master, please show mercy. Ingui sect is willing to submit. Ingui sect saintess also knelt down and said in fear, "No need." Ning Chen's gaze swept across the pill room not far away, and he said, "I've already said that after today, Ingui sect will disappear from the world forever. You can all be buried with Murong." With that, Genesis Supreme swept across Ning Chen's hand, and an indescribable sword pressure rapidly spread out. The sword light was dazzling, illuminating the world. Feeling the terrifying sword pressure from the former, Ingui sect master's pupils shrank, and he forcefully supported his heavily injured body and thrust out a palm, wanting to stop the sword move from being born. However, it was already too late. Under the terrifying sword pressure, streaks of sword light appeared out of thin air, shaking off the palm power, and its power rose to the extreme. 6 Daos fall, myriad demonic tribulations, supreme forbidden sword. With a step, he entered the 9 heavens, followed by tens of thousands of swords. The swords that covered the sky converged into a terrifying sword storm, as if it was the end of the world, and the world mourned. Doomsday calamity. The calamity appeared, and the tens of thousands of swords rumbled down. The sky sank, and the earth was destroyed. The sword light destroyed everything within several hundred li of Ingui sect, and large cracks appeared. Waves of dust surged, and the bottom couldn't be seen. Rumble. With a loud sound, several halls of Ingui sect collapsed, completely becoming history. Blood flowed from the cracks, and the spiritual energy of the collapsed divine weapons gradually dissipated. The enchanting beauty also turned into a skeleton. This life and death hatred finally ended with destruction. In the sky, Ning Chen's figure slowly descended. He clenched his right hand, and not far away, the immortal trapping sword flew back. The red light that filled the sky dissipated, and the sealed world also returned to normal. "Their remaining power belongs to you," Ning Chen said indifferently. "Many thanks, master." The great devils flew out of the soul-suppressing banner and scattered, beginning to devour the remaining power of Ingui sect's women. Half an hour later, the great devils flew back into the soul-suppressing banner. Ning Chen walked out of Ingui sect, and after 100 steps, he turned back and slashed down. The earth rumbled, and all the corpses on the ground were swallowed up. There was so much hatred when they were alive, but after death, all of it returned to dust. This sword was the final respect for the dead. Not long after Ning Chen left, 4 figures descended from the sky above Ingui sect's ruins. The man in the lead was dressed like a scholar, and he held a folding fan. He was Heaven Mending Pavilion's current martial leader, Qi Wenju. "I'm late." Qi Wenju looked down at the completely destroyed Ingui sect and said coldly, "Just who was it that had such terrifying strength? We rushed over as soon as we received the news, but we still couldn't make it in time." A Grand Elder of Heaven Mending Pavilion said, "It was Mo Gate's 9th son." Qi Wenju looked at the sword intent that still hadn't scattered. The other three were shocked. Was it that youth that had slaughtered the ancient battlefield? Martial leader, what should we do? Asked the Grand Elder of Heaven Mending Pavilion. Qi Wenju was silent. After a moment, he slowly said, chase after him. If we can lure him to Heaven Mending Pavilion, then that's the best. If we can't, then kill him. The three nodded. One of the women said, Qi Fei's death is most likely caused by this child. It's best to bring him back alive and give Pavilion Master an explanation. We'll act according to the circumstances. Qi Wenju's expression became serious, and he said, you all have to be careful. Don't underestimate him. This child's strength is extraordinary. Even if you all join hands, you won't be able to take advantage of him. Once you fight, you have to attack with all your strength. Don't give him a chance to counterattack. We understand. The three replied. After the discussion, the four moved, rushing towards the sword Qi and phoenix flames. 100 li away, Ning Chen was walking alone. He didn't feel any danger. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed and he looked back. Brother, please wait. As he spoke, four people appeared behind him. Qi Wenju was the first to speak. It's you? Ning Chen narrowed his eyes. He hadn't expected to meet Wu Kuei of Heaven Mending Pavilion so soon. Brother Ning, where are you going? Why don't you come to my Heaven Mending Pavilion for a chat? After the Battle of the Nether Hall, I didn't have time to invite you to my Heaven Mending Pavilion. Qi Wenju smiled. There's no need. I still have matters to attend to, said Ning Chen calmly. Meeting each other is fate. There is no need for Brother Ning to be so distant. This place is not far from my Heaven Mending Pavilion. Drinking a cup won't take up too much of Brother Ning's time, Qi Wenju said with a sincere expression. A straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. If you don't have anything else, then I'll take my leave first. Ning Chen didn't want to say anything more, so he turned around and left. Was it you who destroyed the Ingui sect? Qi Wenju's expression sank. Yes, said Ning Chen. What about Qi Fei? Was it you who killed him? Qi Wenju's expression became even colder. Yes, said Ning Chen. You really don't want to refute a single word, snorted Qi Wenju. It was me. What's there to refute? Said Ning Chen indifferently. If that's the case, then there's no need to say anything more. Kill. With a command, the three venerables mending Tian attacked first. Their palms were as boundless as the ocean, and in the blink of an eye, they had already arrived in front of Ning Chen. They had already prepared for this, so they attacked with all their might without any mercy. Ning Chen's eyes narrowed. He stepped forward, and his figure became like an illusion as he dodged the first wave of attacks. Just as he was about to counterattack, a folding fan swept past him like a divine weapon. Ha! Ning Chen's figure turned, and he dodged the attack again. Before he could use his sword, the three venerables mending Tian's palms arrived once again. Their tacit cooperation was flawless. Even someone as strong as a life-knowing expert was caught in a dilemma. Ning Chen's steps turned, and he dodged the attacks again and again. His expression became colder and colder. I didn't come for you, but you came for me first. Then leave your lives behind. The phoenix appeared, and the green cauldron appeared, blocking the three venerables' palms. In the blink of an eye, Taisher appeared in Ning Chen's hand. Sword Qi surged like waves, and a sword split the sky. Seeing this, Qi Wenju's expression changed slightly. His figure flashed, and a white light rose from his folding fan, blocking the sword light. With a boom, the sword light dissipated. Qi Wenju also took half a step back, and his blood and qi surged. Calm ocean current. His opponent's ability was beyond his expectations. Qi Wenju did not dare to delay any longer. He used his most powerful move, and waves surged behind him. Immediately, the waves reached the sky, and a majestic aura swept out, pressing down on the people in front of him. Sword technique, prairie fire. Waves surged, and phoenix flames rose. Ning Chen's sword appeared, and flames burned the world. The two opposing forces collided, and an indescribably terrifying shockwave spread out. The wasteland's landscape changed instantly, and everything was scorched. With a muffled groan, Qi Wenju took a few steps back from the shockwave. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. The art of water and fire was half a move behind. On the other side, the three venerables mending Tian were also affected. They took a few steps back and barely managed to stabilize their bodies. I will go to the mending Tian pavilion you speak of, but only after I send you on your way. Ningchen walked out from the mist that filled the sky. He looked at the four people in front of him and said coldly. Chapter 8:25. The situation in the wilderness had changed. Martial Chief Butian was defeated by half a move, and the three venerables were also affected. The situation immediately became dangerous. Ning Chen's body moved, and sword light crisscrossed. An unshakable power erupted, splitting the heavens and the seas. It even cut open a huge black hole in the void. The three venerables were shocked. They joined hands to block the sword light in front of them. With a loud bang, blood splashed everywhere. The three venerables were forced to retreat, unable to block the extreme power. Don't fight head-on. You are not his match. Qi Wenju forcefully suppressed her injuries and said. The three venerables stabilized their bodies and slightly nodded. Looking at the red-clothed youth in front of them, their eyes were filled with fear. Qi Wenju, you guys are really in a difficult situation. At this moment, thunder rumbled in the sky, and a purple-clothed man appeared. His powerful aura was surging, and he did not lose out to anyone present. Right, Protector? Seeing the newcomer, the three venerables' expressions shook. Jiang Yun, why are you here? Qi Wenju looked at the purple-clothed man with a serious expression. Pavilion Master was worried that something would happen to you guys, so he sent me to help. I didn't think that he would really predict it. Jiang Yun's gaze swept over the red-clothed youth and said, Is this Mahist sect's ninth disciple? A dragon among enlightened masters? You actually made my heaven-mending pavilion's three venerables and one martial chief suffer such a huge loss. You praise me too much. Ning Chen held his sword and looked at the man in front of him. Right, Protector, did you come to help? If so, can I take action now? Sorry for making you wait. Please. Jiang Yun's face flashed with a faint smile. Just as he finished speaking, purple thunder rumbled, and a purple-clothed figure flashed. A ferocious palm carrying the power of thunder whistled through the air. Ning Chen held his sword horizontally, and the tip of his sword blocked the thunder. With a loud bang, his figure moved back half a step before stopping. However, his sword's momentum did not stop, and he continued to slash forward. Jiang Yun's right palm formed a fist, and with a loud bang, he forcefully blocked the sword's tip. The two extreme powers collided, and a miserable scene appeared. The two figures were both forced back several steps, and it was difficult to tell who was stronger. Sword technique. Genesis Supreme swung his sword, and just as he was about to unleash his sword technique, the folding fan flew through the air. The heaven-mending martial art had joined the battle to slay Mo Gate's ninth son. Ning Chen narrowed his eyes and turned his sword around. With a loud bang, he slashed at the person who had sneak-attacked him from behind. Sword and palm collided. One had a boundless sword intent while the other had an extraordinary cultivation base. As the two techniques collided, the aftershock was like a raging torrent that was earth-shattering. The moment his aura was about to collapse, the three venerables mending Tian joined hands to attack. Their mountain-toppling and ocean-overturning true essence pressed down with astonishing might. Ning Chen frowned. He took a step forward and his silhouette flickered. In an instant, he appeared behind the three venerable lords and swung his sword mercilessly. In that moment of crisis, purple lightning surged. Jiang Yun appeared to block the attack. With his powerful cultivation, he blocked the deadly sword light. Three venerables mending Tian, Wu Kuei, and the Right Protector joined forces to launch a killing attack. They were determined to kill the 9 disciples of the Mahist sect. The battle reached its climax, and it was difficult to determine the victor. Knowing Destiny, who had the extreme speed of heaven and earth and the extreme way of the sword, displayed his battle prowess to the extreme. Red light shone around him, making him look like an undefeatable war god. The 5 of them took turns to fight. Knowing Destiny's martial soul shone with sword light. His palms moved and birds screamed. His sword moved, and the yellow springs opened a path. As they crossed, the setting sun shone magnificently, causing the sky to lose its color. Sword technique, heavenly dragon shock. A sword soared into the sky, and the dragon roared. Ning Chen swung his sword, and an azure dragon coiled around the sword and charged forward. Qi Wenju opened her folding fan to block the attack. The azure dragon sword Qi passed through the folding fan and entered her body. With a muffled groan, blood flowed from the corner of Wu Kuei's mouth. He was forced to retreat, and his injuries were not light. In the blink of an eye, the red clothes disappeared. When they reappeared, the afterimages looked real. Two sharp sword lights broke through the sky and forced back the three venerables mending Tian and the right protector. The extreme speed of heaven and earth and the unshakable extreme way of the sword gradually turned the situation around. Ha! Not allowing the situation to change, Jiang Yun shouted. Purple lightning filled the sky. Above the clouds rolled, and thunder covered the setting sun. Lightning devour heaven. Purple lightning fell from the sky, swallowing the sky and destroying the earth. Its vigorous and overbearing power destroyed all the laws between heaven and earth. When the lightning passed, the whole space and time turned into nothingness. A huge black ravine appeared, extending for thousands of zhang. Sword technique. Seeing this, Ning Chen's figure flew out. He did not dodge, and his sword defied the heavens and met the attack head-on. Nothing. Blood-colored sword light swallowed up the boundless space. Lightning fell, and the two extremes collided. The aftermath surged, and the surrounding heaven and earth turned into chaos. The aftermath dissipated, and the laws of space and time were gradually restored. However, the collapsed terrain could not be restored, and it completely changed. Jiang Yun, Qi Wenju, and the three venerables mending Tian looked at the red-clothed youth in front of them. Their expressions were extremely grave. They knew that the ninth disciple of Mo Gate was powerful, but they did not expect him to be so powerful. It had not even been 100 years since the battle of the ancient battlefield. This child's growth speed was just too fast. Everyone, if this is all you have, you will not be able to return today. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Chen let out a soft shout. Blood chi rolled around his body and his black hair turned red. He was the Phoenix Ancestral Awakening. A terrifying pressure spread out. In the next instant, the red clothes disappeared, and when they reappeared, the sword light broke through the sky. Arg! An extremely painful groan rang out. Blood spurted out from the chest of a heaven-mending pavilion's supreme elder. A terrifying sword wound extended from his left shoulder to his right rib. It was a ghastly sight, and it made people feel fear. The speed and sword intent increased once again. Jiang Yun, Qi Wenju, and the other two heaven-mending pavilion's supreme elders did not even have time to attack. The sword fell, and one of them died. Woo! Without having time to say anything, the body of the heaven-mending pavilion's ninth supreme elder slowly fell down. With a thump, he smashed into the ground. Whether it was unwillingness or regret, at this moment, it was already too late. You deserve to die. Jiang Yun was furious. His figure flashed, and lightning surged all over his body. The phantom of a lightning beast appeared, and its power could swallow the heavens. Ning Chen's eyes focused. His sword aura changed, and the phantom of a phoenix appeared, blocking the former. The divine beasts collided. The god of fire and the supreme being of lightning faced each other head-on. The cry of the phoenix and the roar of thunder shook the heaven and earth, and everything collapsed. On the other side, Qi Wenju condensed her energy. Raging waves surged, and a huge phantom of a sea beast appeared. The power of laws reached its peak. Sword technique, dragon phoenix burial. The raging waves arrived. Ning Chen stepped back and waved his sword. The dragon and phoenix cried as they collided with the sea beast. An indescribable might appeared. The dragon and phoenix swallowed the sea beast, and the raging waves collapsed. Qi Wenju let out a muffled groan, and a bloody mist spurted out from her chest. The seventh and eighth supreme elders of the heaven-mending pavilion rushed forward and took over the battle once again. Their true essence was pushed to the limit, and they slapped towards the former's chest. Since you're in such a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ning Chen's expression became cold. He clenched his left hand, and a white rainbow appeared. The soft sword spun 100 times and wrapped around the two's arms. The two supreme elders' expressions changed. They revolved their true essence to try and break free from the white rainbow, but it was already too late. Taisher's killing intent flashed past. It was incomparably cold. The heads of the two supreme elders flew up, and their blood dyed the setting sun red. Behind them, Jiang Yun and Qi Wenju were both shocked and angry. They wanted to stop him, but they were powerless. Now that no one is bothering you, you too can continue. Ning Chen's gaze shifted to the two strongest people in front of him and said coldly, "Retreat." Seeing that it was impossible to kill this brat, Jiang Yun made a prompt decision and said. Qi Wenju was startled, but she soon came back to her senses. Without any hesitation, she took a step back and retreated. Jiang Yun flipped his palm, and 1,000 layers of purple lightning converged. He sent out a palm and quickly left. Ning Chen waved his sword to disperse the purple lightning. His calm eyes looked in the direction the two left in, and he did not chase after them. These two were not weak. If he wanted to eliminate them, it would not be an easy task. Master! The sun had completely set. Within the soul-subduing banner, many great demons were restless. Ning Chen nodded and agreed to the demons' request. The demons were overjoyed. They flew out of the soul-subduing banner and swallowed the 3 supreme elders of the heaven-mending pavilion who had died in battle not far away. Not long after, the remaining origin energy of the 3 supreme elders of the heaven-mending pavilion was swallowed by the demons. Ning Chen waved his sword and cut open the ground, bearing the 3 supreme elders. Master, this heaven-mending pavilion was one of the 11 strongest inheritances in the world. Perhaps they have the life origin energy that Master needs. On the side, Desolate Demon's figure appeared and reminded him. Ning Chen nodded and said, "In your era, did this heaven-mending pavilion have a 4th realm?" "Yes, and there was more than one." Desolate Demon nodded and said, "Among the 4 pavilions, other than the Sword Pavilion's strength, the other 3 pavilions were about the same. 10,000 years ago, the Heaven-Mending Pavilion had 2 4th realm cultivators with terrifying strength. However, that was 10,000 years ago, and no one could live for 10,000 years. Those 2 should have already fallen by now." "Not necessarily." Ning Chen shook his head and said, "You guys are the best examples." Desolate Demon was startled and immediately explained, "We are demons, and we are different from humans." Moreover, the power of the laws in the Thousand Devil Nest was suppressed by the soul-subduing banner forged by the Heavenly Buddha Lord. While we lost our freedom, we were able to barely survive until today. Master! At this moment, a great demon opened his mouth and handed over a green pearl. He said, "This is something we obtained from those 3 people. Perhaps it will be useful to Master." Ning Chen received the pearl and swept his gaze over it. A strange look flashed through his eyes. It seemed like he really had to make a trip to the Heaven-Mending Pavilion. His demonic body had already obtained enough demonic chi, and would wake up sooner or later. However, the life source that his main body needed was too terrifying. If he did not take action against a great sect like the Heaven-Mending Pavilion, his main body might never have the chance to wake up. Master! Desolate Demon opened his mouth again. "Dorush, we don't have enough strength right now, and we need help," Ning Chen said calmly. "Master, why don't you try to break into the immortal treading realm? Once you break through, Master's strength will definitely increase greatly." Desolate Demon was puzzled. "It's not that I don't want to, but that I can't do it yet. In these past few years, as my strength increased, the power of laws bestowed upon the Dragon Gate by the heavens also became stronger and stronger. I have too much karma on my body, and there is no chance of failure. As long as I try to break through, I must succeed on the first try. Otherwise, I will forever be suppressed under the Dragon Gate, never to rise again," Ning Chen said. Desolate Demon was silent and did not say anything else. Treading into the immortal treading realm was not too difficult for them, but he never thought that it would be so dangerous when it came to Master. "Let's go." Since we've returned to the Red Lawn Star region, how can we not see that black-hearted merchant? Perhaps the helper I need can find the answer from him. After speaking, Ning Qin did not delay any further. His figure flashed, and he transformed into a phoenix as he flew towards the east of the star region. Chapter 8:26. Jinxi City, Don Moon Chang. In front of a luxurious restaurant, pedestrians came and went, and it was unusually lively. When it was noon, Ning Qin strode over and walked straight into the restaurant. On the stage on the first floor, there was singing and dancing. Enchanting dancers were dancing on the stage, charming people. Not far away, behind the counter, the shopkeeper was sitting there in boredom. He didn't seem to be happy about the good business in the restaurant. "Shopkeeper." Ning Qin walked forward and smiled. "Long time no see." The shopkeeper came back to his senses. Seeing the person in front of him, he suddenly quivered and said, "Brother Ning." It's been 100 years, but the shopkeeper is still as elegant as before. "Where's the owner and Miss Hong Wan? Are they not here?" Ning Qin smiled. "The owner and Miss Hong Wan have been out for many days. I don't know when they will return," the shopkeeper said honestly. Hearing this, Ning Qin revealed a trace of regret. "So they really weren't here. What a pity. Brother Ning, are you looking for the owner? Do you need me to pass on the message?" the shopkeeper asked. Ning Qin hesitated and shook his head. "No need. Since the owner isn't here, I will find someone else." "There's no need to find someone else. How can I not be here when there's business?" While speaking, the owner of Dawn Moon Tower, who was wearing a silver-gray cloak, walked in. Behind her, Hong Wan wore a veil that covered her face. Only her eyes were exposed. They were so beautiful that people couldn't help looking at them. "Owner, Miss Hong Wan." Seeing the two of them, Ning Qin politely bowed and greeted. "Brother Ning, please go to the second floor. Hong Wan, prepare tea," the owner of Dawn Moon Tower said softly. Hong Wan respectfully responded and went to prepare the tea with light steps. Ning Qin followed the owner of Dawn Moon Tower to the second floor. The door opened and the two of them walked in. "Brother Ning, you haven't been here for a long time, right?" the owner of Dawn Moon Tower asked. 100 years. Ning Chen's gaze swept across the room that hadn't changed and sighed. 100 years. I didn't expect Brother Ning to still be alive. Indeed, good people don't live long, but bad people live for 1,000 years, the owner of Dawn Moon Tower smiled. Ning Qin smiled and said, "Since I've survived, I have to finish what I started back then. Tower Master, I'm here to ask for your help. As for the price, we can discuss it." "Brother Ning, please speak." The Dawn Moon Brothel Master sat down at the table and said. At this time, outside the room, Hong Wan walked in with a cup of tea. She placed the tea in front of them and softly said, "Building Master, young Master Ning, please have some tea." "Thank you, Miss Hong Wan," Ning Qin said with a smile. His attention returned to the negotiation, and he said seriously, "Tower Master, if I were to become enemies with Heaven Mending Pavilion, what are my chances of winning?" 10%. The Dawn Moon Pavilion's master narrowed her eyes as she replied. Ning Qin chuckled and said, "I thought the OP would say 0. The Waning Moon Tower Master picked up the teacup and took a sip before saying, "I would say 0 to others, but to Brother Ning, this Tower Master will hold back a bit." "Many thanks for the Tower Master's praise. I came to ask for the Tower Master's help. Together, we can attack Heaven Mending Pavilion," Ning Qin said with a smile. "Brother Ning, if I didn't understand your character, I would have thought that you have gone crazy," the Dawn Moon Brothel Master said with a serious expression. "Why do you have such thoughts? Don't tell me you don't know how terrifying these great sects that have been passed down since ancient times are?" "It is because I know that I made this decision," Ning Qin said softly. "I need a large amount of life force. In this world, most of these resources are occupied by the great sects that have been passed down since ancient times. The more powerful the great sects are, the more resources they have. Now that I have shed all pretense of cordiality with Heaven Mending Pavilion, of course I have to start with them. This business is not easy to do." The Dawn Moon Tower Master did not beat around the bush and said directly, The Dawn Moon Tower and Heaven Mending Pavilion have always minded their own business. Once this Tower Master makes a move, it means that I am going against Heaven Mending Pavilion. This is not a wise move. Just because it is not a wise move does not mean that it is impossible. Heaven Mending Pavilion is indeed powerful, but if we can destroy it, the rewards will be equally great, Ningchen said. Brother Ning's assumption is after we destroy Heaven Mending Pavilion. However, our biggest problem is how to destroy this colossus. If we fail, what will the consequences be? The Dawn Moon Tower Master said indifferently. What does the Tower Master want? Ningchen said calmly. The Dawn Moon Tower Master looked at the tea in her hand. After a while, she said, Forbidden Time, Heaven and Earth Twin Scrolls, and a promise from Brother Ning. Ningchen's eyes narrowed and said, The Tower Master's conditions are truly exorbitant. If the price is too high, then the conditions will naturally be a bit harsh. Moreover, this Tower Master needs to invite some friends. This will take a lot of effort, the Dawn Moon Tower Master replied. Deal. Ningchen nodded and said, How long does the Tower Master need to prepare? 3 months. The Dawn Moon Tower Master replied. However, once an old monster of the 4th level appears in Heaven Mending Pavilion, we must immediately retreat. The Tower Master believes that there is a 4th level in Heaven Mending Pavilion? Ningchen said with a serious expression. Whether there is or not, no one knows. The Dawn Moon Tower Master said calmly. Right now, the experts who have reached the true realm are all looking for a way to enter the 4th level. However, no one has succeeded yet. However, the 4th level did exist 10,000 years ago. If they are still alive today, then it is not a good thing. Ningchen faintly nodded and said, I have always had this suspicion as well. This is a good chance to verify it. However, even if the 4th level does exist, they shouldn't be able to easily make a move. 10,000 years cannot be easily passed, so they must have paid a great price. The Dawn Moon Tower Master put down the teacup in her hand and faintly smiled. Brother Ning, this time, this Tower Master is betting everything with you. If I lose, the Dawn Moon Tower will change its surname to Ningchen's. Ningchen lightly laughed and said, The riskier the gamble, the more shocking the rewards. This huge gamble is worth it. In these 3 months, Brother Ning should also be prepared. This Tower Master does not want to lose the opportunity to collect the rewards before they are paid, the Dawn Moon Tower Master indifferently said. Ningchen nodded and stood up. Don't worry, Tower Master. This one has just returned from the gates of hell and does not want to return so soon. In 3 months, this one will pay a visit again and present the rewards. After speaking, Ningchen did not stay any longer. He nodded towards Hong Wan and immediately turned around to leave. After the door was closed, the Dawn Moon Tower Master silently sat in front of the table with a teacup in her hand. Thoughts continuously flashed through her eyes. Tower Master, are you really going to attack the Heaven Mending Pavilion? Hong Wan revealed a worried expression as she asked. Yes. The Dawn Moon Tower Master nodded and said, For 10,000 years, the structure of this world has remained unchanged. It is time for a change. Also, he truly wanted to know if these great sects had the secret of the 4th level. The knowledge Marquis suggestion was indeed crazy, but he was extremely interested. In Mo Planet, on the ruins of the former Mo clan, on the destroyed Legacy Peak, Hong Yi walked over. Looking at the once flourishing Mo clan, a trace of emotion flashed through her eyes. On the Legacy Peak, Ningchen stopped for a moment before walking towards the distant 9th peak. On the 9th peak, the autumn wind was bleak. Under the setting sun, it was a desolate scene. The wooden house in front of the bamboo forest had already been destroyed by the aftermath of the battle on Legacy Peak. Ningchen walked forward step by step and stood there for a long time. Suddenly, his expression shook and he abruptly looked towards the 8th peak. In the distance, a familiar aura was so clear. Ningchen returned to his senses and took a step forward, rushing towards the 8th peak. On the 8th peak, rocks were scattered everywhere. A beautiful figure in silver clothes and silver hair stood there silently. Her eyes were lost and her figure was abnormally blurry. 8th Senior Sister. Ningchen took a step forward and called out. The woman turned her head and looked at the person who came. Her eyes were still lost, and she did not recognize the person before her. Seeing the former's blurry figure, Ning Chen's heart was in turmoil. What happened to the soul body? Who are you? Puma. Where is this place? Ling Luozhen asked in confusion. You don't remember? Ning Chen suppressed the shock in his heart and said, This is Mo clan. You are Ling Luozhen, the master of the 8th peak of Mo clan. I am Ning Chen, your 9th junior brother. Mo clan? 9th junior brother? Ling Luozhen softly muttered. Her soul body flickered and showed signs of instability. Ning Chen's expression changed slightly. He took a step forward and condensed essence with his sword finger, stabilizing her soul body. Master, this person's soul seems to have been here for a long time. It is extremely damaged and cannot be exposed to the laws of heaven and earth. Otherwise, it will dissipate quickly. Desolate demon reminded from the soul-suppressing banner. Ning Chen nodded. The phoenix image appeared behind him and red light spread out, swallowing the woman's soul. After doing this, Ning Chen scanned the other peaks with his divine sense and did not find anything abnormal. In the west, the sun gradually set. When night fell, Ning Chen summoned the thousands of great demons in the soul-suppressing banner and said, In these 3 months, I have to do my best to awaken the demon body. I need your help. We will follow Master's arrangements. With Desolate Demon as the leader, the great demons responded in unison. Ning Chen nodded and said, I will lay down the yellow springs and time restriction to help you resist the influence of the laws of heaven and earth. You can use your demonic essence to help me. 3 months should be enough. The demons respectfully accepted the order. Ning Chen waved his hand, and the immortal trapping appeared and sank into the ground. In the next moment, red light filled the sky and sealed the sky. The aura of the yellow springs and time restriction circulated. The power of the divine restriction sealed in the immortal sword appeared, causing the surrounding time to almost stop. The phoenix screamed. The black-clothed demon body flew out and floated in the void. Demonic chi lingered around it and its aura was abnormally powerful. Let's begin. Ning Chen looked at the demons and ordered. The demons accepted the order and released their demonic essence. Boundless energy spread out and merged with the demon body in the void. Ning Chen took a step forward and raised his hand to condense essence. Phoenix fire rose and entered the demon body, helping it to refine the different demonic essence that the demons poured in. Outside the divine restriction, time passed bit by bit. The cold moon rose in the east and then set in the west. The passage of time had never changed because of anyone. 1 day, 2 days. Within the divine restriction, the demons and red specters worked together to awaken their demon bodies, preparing for the upcoming great battle. At the same time, on Shinji Peak, the space shook amidst the red maple leaves that filled the sky. The Dawn Moon Tower's master appeared and looked at the man in luxurious purple clothes in front of her. Divine secret, it's time for you to come out. Chapter 827. On the 8th peak of Mo Gate, Trapping Immortal floated up and down, borrowing the power of Mo Gate's underground spirit vein to protect the divine restriction and resist the laws of heaven and earth. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, more than half of 3 months had passed. Within the divine restriction, Ning Chen still hadn't walked out. The entire 8th peak was abnormally quiet, and one could even hear a pin drop. The sun set and the moon rose, and the sun rose again. Day after day, the agreed deadline was getting closer and closer. Finally, there was a slight movement within the divine restriction. With Desolate Demon as the leader, thousands of demons sacrificed day and night. Endless demonic energy surged into the demon's body, helping it recover. Behind the demon, Ning Chen's phoenix fire burned around him, swallowing the demon's body to refine his demonic energy. The time and space that was close to being frozen had already passed for an unknown amount of time. Thousands of demons sacrificed for many days, and their soul energy was gradually drying up. In the void, the black figure floating up and down had already solidified, and the unusually powerful demonic energy fluctuation around him was even stronger than before. On the 8th peak, the sky darkened again, and the sun set. At the moment when day and night alternated, the demon's eyes slowly opened in the divine restriction. In an instant, an extremely terrifying pressure spread out, and thousands of demons were all sent flying. Ningchen retracted his hand, and the phoenix fire around him disappeared. He glanced at the demons and said, "Thank you for your hard work." The demons bowed their heads, and immediately turned into flowing light that entered the soul-suppressing banner and began to sleep. The main body still can't wake up. "I need your help." Ningchen looked at the demon in front of him and said. The demon stood there quietly, and his aura gradually retracted. There was no fluctuation in his eyes that were like an abyss. The ghost girl has woken up, but the situation is not right. Our mission is not over yet. The main body is with us, and if something happens to him, we will also disappear. We have to wake him up as soon as possible. Ningchen looked at the demon in front of him, raised his right hand, and said seriously, "I need your power." The demon was silent. After a long time, he also raised his right hand. The moment the two bodies touched, a powerful airflow shook. After 100 years, the two bodies merged again. After a few breaths, Ningchen opened his eyes, waved his hand to disperse the divine restriction around him, and walked out. On the ground, Trapping Immortal flew up and turned into a flowing light. The phoenix manifested and swallowed the immortal sword. Jinsi City, Dawn Moon Chang. On the second floor, Dawn Moon Tower Master took off her light green casual clothes and put on a silver-gray cloak. The shrewdness of a merchant disappeared and was replaced by the extraordinary temperament of a peerless master. Hong Wan, stay behind and look after the Dawn Moon House. You don't have to go this time. After changing her clothes, the Dawn Moon Tower's master instructed. Yes. Hong Wan responded softly and respectfully accepted the order. Tower Master, young Master Ning is already waiting downstairs. Outside the room, the shopkeeper knocked on the door and reported. Understood, I will go down immediately. The waning moon brothel mistress responded. She waved her hand and took the wooden box on the table before walking out of the room. On the first floor, Ningchen was sitting by the window and drinking tea quietly. When he saw the man coming down, he put down his tea and stood up to ask, "Can we go now?" The waning moon tower master nodded and said, "Sure. Sorry for making Brother Ning wait. Please." Ningchen nodded and walked out together. Above the starry sky, a stream of light flashed and the two of them rapidly headed towards the northwest direction. Their speed was so fast that it was hard to recognize them. The star region's dense fog spread everywhere. After hurrying for many days, the Dawn Moon Tower Master suddenly stopped and said, "Brother Ning, please wait for a moment. A friend should be arriving soon." Ningchen stopped and narrowed his eyes. "Senior Shinji? He will indeed come. However, the person in the future isn't him." The Dawn Moon Tower Master replied and looked ahead. "You know this person too. Your Highness, since you are here, show yourself." Just as she finished speaking, the void in the starry sky ahead stirred and a heavenly ship appeared. On the heavenly ship, an elegant figure stood quietly with a crown on her head and her black hair draped behind her back. She was dressed in men's clothing and looked even more heroic. "Prince Chi?" Ningchen revealed a surprised expression. "Brother Ning, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon." Lin Yuzhen took a step and flew to the front of the two of them with a smile. Ningchen sighed softly in his heart. He really didn't expect that Prince Chi would come. Not long ago, Prince Chi asked him to attack the Qilin Pavilion together, but he clearly refused. As if she could feel what the person in front of her was thinking, Lin Yuzhen smiled and said, "Brother Ning, after I help you settle the grudge with the Heaven-Mending Pavilion, you can't shirk away from this prince's matter anymore." "Many thanks." Ningchen bowed respectfully and thanked her. He couldn't forget this favor of helping him in his hour of need. "Your Highness Prince Chi, when are you going to pay back the wine money you owe at the Dawn Moon Tower?" The Dawn Moon Tower Master asked with a smile. Hearing this, Lin Yuzhen looked away and replied, "Tower Master, you asked this prince to help this time. This prince hasn't asked you for a reward yet. Treat the wine money as repayment." "Your Highness Prince Chi is really calculating. You obviously came to help because of Brother Ning. How can you give this favor to this Tower Master? The Dawn Moon Tower Master smiled. You can't say that. Lin Yuzhen smiled and said, the one who asked this prince is the Tower Master. How can the Tower Master not pay any price? The Dawn Moon Tower Master smiled and said, then this Tower Master will suffer a loss this time. Your Highness, the wine money you owe will be forgiven. Tower Master, when will Senior Shinji arrive? Will he be alone? Ning Chen's face flashed with a trace of undetectable expectation as he asked. He should be here soon. The Dawn Moon Tower Master replied and said, Shinji promised to come, so he won't go back on his words. However, I don't know if there will be others coming with him. The expectation in Ning Chen's eyes gradually disappeared. Looking at the starry sky in the distance, he sighed in his heart. He hadn't seen that girl for 100 years. How was she? Let's go. We'll continue on our way. Ning Chen quickly withdrew his thoughts and looked at the two of them. Lin Yuzhen and the Dawn Moon Tower Master nodded and rushed forward together. In the vast starry sky, the three figures flashed like shooting stars. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared into the depths of the starry sky. In the Bu-Tian secret realm, on an unusually ancient planet, the entire planet was covered by a formation. Runes circled around it, covering its vital energy. More than 10 days later, the three figures appeared outside the planet. Ning Chen looked at the green pearl in his hand that he had taken from the Bu-Tian Pavilion's Grand Elder and said calmly, this is the planet. The formation on this planet should have been set up by a 4th-level cultivator. Although it has been a long time and is not as old as it used to be, it is still not easy to break. The Dawn Moon Tower Master spread out her divine sense and scanned the formation on the planet in front of them. With Brother Ning's attainments in formations and restrictions, how long will it take to break this formation? Lin Yuzhen asked. 6 hours. Ning Chen told the truth. 6 hours is not long. Let's begin. As he spoke, the void cracked open, and a figure in purple walked out. Shinji. The Dawn Moon Tower Master looked over and saw the person and the girl behind him. She said, Bai Yu, long time no see. Bai Yu the Venerable bowed respectfully and said politely, long time no see. In front of the ancient planet, Ning Chen stood quietly for a long time. He formed a seal with both hands, and the yellow spring restriction opened, sealing the ancient planet's protective formation. Millions of changes evolved in the divine restriction. Ning Chen observed silently. After a long time, he dispersed the divine restriction and used the yellow spring to seal the ancient planet's protective formation again. In 6 hours, the formation had evolved tens of thousands of times. Ning Chen observed the changes in the formation, memorizing them one by one. 6 hours later, he dispersed the last change in the formation and stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, Genesis Supreme appeared. With a slash of his sword, a phoenix appeared. The phoenix's cry shocked the world, and a majestic power crashed into the protective formation. The entire ancient planet rumbled and shook. The power of laws and extreme Tao clashed, and the undercurrent expanded rapidly. The Bu-Tian secret realm howled. Sword Chi rose out of nowhere within 10,000 miles. The sky darkened, and the earth darkened. Not far away, the Dawn Moon House Master, Shinji, and the Reverence Moon Venerable all revealed serious expressions when they saw this. In just 6 hours, the 9th son of Mo Gate had actually managed to break through the Heaven-Mending Pavilion's sect-protecting formation. It was truly astonishing. In terms of formations and restrictions, this child did not lose to anyone. With the formation broken, the experts within the Bu-Tian secret realm found it hard to hide their shock. They all looked towards the starry sky in shock. In thousands of years, this was the first time someone dared to challenge the Bu-Tian Pavilion. Just who had the guts to do so? In the void, 5 figures appeared, each more powerful than the last. The 5 strongest people in the world had all arrived. They stood in the 9 heavens, and their terrifying auras surged. None of them were weaker than the people below. Their connected auras covered the sky and the sun, causing the entire world to darken. The 9th disciple of the Mo clan, the Dawn Moon Tower Master, Prince Qi, and Shinji. Seeing the 4 people in the 9 heavens, The Butian Pavilion Master's expression shook, and then became serious. Those who came did not come with good intentions. With the four of them coming together, the Butian Pavilion would probably be in great trouble. Everyone, this matter started with me. Let me be the first one to break it. Ningchen walked out, his sword will rising. The winds and clouds on the Taisher sword changed. Layers and layers of sword will gathered rapidly. Thunder rumbled and covered the sky in a radius of 10,000 miles. Sword technique, extreme heaven. The first sword emitted an extremely bright green light. The sword light was like a divine sun that illuminated the world. The battle began. The first sword's aura was incomparably majestic. On the ancient planet, the earth disintegrated for no reason. Large cracks appeared one after another, spreading horizontally and vertically. Within the Butian secret realm, many experts did not have time to react. Miserable cries rang out one after another as they were affected by the sword light and fell into the abyss, consigned to eternal damnation. After the first sword, the supreme elders within the Butian pavilion reacted. Their figures flashed as they stood in the void. The surrounding true essence vibrated, and a powerful aura surged, shocking everyone. Shenji, House Master Xiaoyu, Prince Qi, our pavilion has never interfered with each other. What is the meaning of today's action? The Butian Pavilion Master looked at the three people in front of him and asked, Pavilion Master, please do not blame us. Businessmen have their own principles. The ninth son of Mo Gate's offer is difficult for us to refuse. We cannot push this business out of the door. The House Master Xiaoyu revealed a smile and replied, Clang. With a violent vibration, a divine sword with purple light appeared in front of Shinji. Its dazzling brilliance rose and pierced through the heavens and earth. Without saying a word, it already expressed its attitude. Butian Pavilion. Lin Yuzhen sneered. The phoenix cry sword in her hands swept across. Although it was not unsheathed, the cry of a phoenix whistled through the sky, and the world within 10,000 li changed. Good, very good. The Butian Pavilion Master's expression became cold. Behind him, powerful auras appeared. The supreme elders of the Butian Pavilion had appeared, and a great battle was about to break out. Chapter 828. In the sky above the heaven-mending secret realm, Zhiming led the four most powerful people in the world. With one sword strike, the sky lost its color. The sword of extreme Tao was stunning. Sword light flashed past, splitting heaven and earth apart. An enormous spatial ravine appeared. Chaotic streams surged, and crazy mists surged like waves. After the sword started the battle, the heaven-mending pavilion master and 10 other supreme-level experts appeared. They stood in the air and looked at the 5 people in front of them with gloomy expressions. At the beginning of the battle, the atmosphere was tense. Shinji waved his hand, and purple light flashed. The purple clouds fell, and the incomparably luxurious divine sword was surrounded by purple clouds. The image of an emperor was revealed. At the side, the phoenix cry sword appeared in Lin Yuzhen's hand as well. Amidst the rampaging lightning, the phoenix cry was unsheathed, and a powerful aura swept out. Zhiming took the lead, and the 3 swords were connected. Although there were only 3 of them, the whole Butian secret realm shook. Sword chi coiled around, and the world dimmed. At the front, the heaven-mending pavilion master and the 10 heaven-mending sect elders all had heavy expressions on their faces. These people in front of them clearly came prepared. Heaven-mending pavilion would most likely have a bloody battle today. Leave this Butian pavilion master to me. Lin Yuzhen stepped forward and said, Then leave these 10 people to me and Baiyue. Shenji said calmly as he glanced at the 10 supreme masters behind Butian Pavilion Master. Many thanks. Ningchen replied. His figure flashed as he plunged downwards. You want to leave? In your dreams. The heaven-mending Pavilion Master's face turned cold. He stomped his feet and instantly moved to block the former. Pavilion Master, your opponent is this king. As she spoke, Lin Yuzhen stepped out from the void. She slashed the air with her sword, blocking the path ahead. Seizing the opportunity, Ning Chen and the Dawn Moon Tower's mistress flew down, searching for their target. Prince Qi, you dare to oppose my Tian pavilion. The road ahead was blocked. The heaven-mending pavilion master's expression became even more unsightly as he coldly spoke. Perhaps there are things in this world that this king does not dare to do, but it definitely does not include provoking your heaven-mending pavilion. Lin Yuzhen lightly said, "You're courting death." Killing intent erupted from the heaven-mending pavilion master's face. He stomped in the air and slapped towards the person in front of him. On the other side, Tian's 10 grand elders moved as well. Powerful auras surged and blasted at the two people blocking their way. Xin Ji waved his hand, and the purple cloud was unsheathed. Purple light surged, and wave after wave of pressure spread out. The force was so strong that it was shocking. He was a true supreme expert at the peak of the true realm, a powerful existence who was only one step away from the fourth realm. When he attacked, the wind and clouds howled. Tian's 10 grand elders arrived. With a boom, they collided with the sword waves. Instantly, boundless raging waves roared and surged, destroying thousands of miles of space. Behind Shinji, Reverend Baiyu stood quietly and did not show any signs of attacking. 10 against 1, Shinji's body shone with purple light as he swung the purple cloud divine sword. Pieces of space crumbled and were restored. After a dozen or so moves, the 10 Grand Supremes of Skyminder were all shocked. They were unable to gain the upper hand in terms of offense and defense. Not far away, Lin Yuzhen blocked the heaven-mending pavilion master by herself. The battle was equally intense. Both of them were at the pinnacle of the human realm. They knew that the other party's strength was immeasurable. Their attacks were majestic and unrestrained, and their divine might was shocking. Phoenix dances 9 heavens. After exchanging a few moves, everyone knew that Lin Yuzhen's body was like a dancing phoenix. Her sword was like the heavens, shocking the world. She could shake the heavens, and her attacks multiplied. The heaven-mending pavilion master's expression became serious. The true yuan around his body continued to rise. His palms rose and fell, shaking heaven and earth. It was difficult for the peak of the world to coexist. The two's figures intertwined, and their moves caused the smoke of war between heaven and earth. They rumbled and shook the 9 heavens. After recovering her body, Lin Yuzhen's power was even greater than before. Her every move was like 10,000 techniques. The two battles had just begun, and the heat was already at its peak. Below, Ning Chen and the Dawn Moonhouse Master entered the heaven-mending pavilion. Powerful auras greeted them one after another. Hundreds of them blocked their path. 9th disciple of Mo Gate, you really have guts. You actually took the initiative to come to my heaven-mending pavilion to die. In front of everyone, heaven-mending Martial Chief Qi Wenju and Right Enforcer Jiang Yun appeared. They looked at the red-clothed young man and coldly said, "Give me 10 breaths of time." The Dawn Moonhouse Master indifferently said. A wooden box appeared in front of her, and within the dazzling silver light, a divine spear appeared. A powerful aura shook the area, and the yellow springs opened the way. Silver light flashed, and the imposing aura was incomparably vigorous. Wherever the yellow springs passed, space rapidly collapsed, and the airflow exploded. It was abnormally ear-piercing. Qi Wenju and Jiang Yun's expressions slightly changed. They worked together to shake the yellow springs, and with a loud sound, they were forced back several steps. After one move, the yellow springs in the Dawn Moonhouse Master's hand once again shone with brilliance. With a turn of its sharp edge, it swept away 1,000 soldiers. Arg! A muffled groan sounded. The heaven-mending seniors blocking the way were unable to bear the might of the yellow springs and were all dyed red. Qi Wenju and Jiang Yun's palms arrived soon after. The Dawn Moonhouse Master's body moved, and her spinning spear condensed frost. Cold air spread out, and within a range of 1,000 zhang, the heaven and earth were instantly frozen. 100 burials of frost heaven. With a light shout, the frozen heaven and earth collapsed. The heaven-mending seniors only felt a tearing pain all over their bodies. The instant the heaven and earth collapsed, the surrounding natural laws went crazy and attacked everyone. Snowflakes and blood splattered everywhere in the collapsing space. More than 100 heaven-mending experts vomited blood and were heavily injured. Qi Wenju and Jiang Yun were also affected. Their bodies staggered, and their auras became unstable. Let's go! After 10 breaths, the Dawn Moon House Master's spear pierced through the scattered blood and bones, and a path appeared in front of them. Ning Chen nodded. His figure flashed, and a crack appeared in the heaven and earth. Before they could react, Hong Yi had already broken out of the encirclement. In the blink of an eye, she was already far away. It was too late to chase after her. In the battle, the Dawn Moon House Master looked at the 2 heaven-mending experts in front of her. She held her spear horizontally and blocked the way. After breaking through several obstacles, Ning Chen, who had already entered the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion, quickly moved forward. Suddenly, he stopped and looked around with a serious expression. Between the heaven and earth, a dim light shone everywhere. Waves of abnormally powerful auras awakened, as if they did not belong to the human world and came from the distant hell. It's here! Ning Chen squinted his eyes. What was supposed to come had finally come. Every inheritance had its own hidden trump card that could not be exposed. This was also the most powerful trump card of every inheritance. Boom! Lightning descended from the heavens. The previously clear sky immediately darkened. It was as if the heavens felt this power that should not be left in the human world, and wanted to erase it. Within the rumbling, the earth split open, and 4 coffins appeared. Waves of gloomy and cold auras spread out, turning into a barrier that blocked the lightning that descended from the heavens. In the next moment, the coffins opened, and 4 elders wearing ancient clothing walked out. They looked at the young man in the middle, and with a single word, they attacked to kill him. For experts at the peak of the true realm, every single one of them was not inferior to experts like the heaven-mending pavilion master and Prince Qi. Their auras were incomparably majestic, but they also carried an indescribable aura of death. Old monsters with half a foot in the underworld should not be left in the human world. The 4 people attacked. Ning Chen clenched his left hand, and the Zhu Xian sword appeared. The 2 swords rotated, and Phoenix Origin and Baleful Qi swirled. Yin and Yang opened the formation, and a Tai Chi diagram rose into the sky. 4 against 1. The moment they entered the formation, red and gray lights twisted. The Tai Chi diagram rapidly rotated, and the formless power dissipated the attacks of the 4 experts. Divine transformation. With the assistance of the 4 symbols, the phoenix returned to its ancestral state. Ning Chen took a step forward, and the dust around his body surged. His long black hair immediately turned blood red and danced in the wind. It was extremely glaring. Chapter 829. Within the heaven-mending secret realm, the sounds of battle filled the battlefield. The 4 strongest experts of the present age all displayed their might as they challenged the heaven-mending pavilion. The purple cloud divine sword was shrouded in purple qi. It was unstoppable for hundreds of eras. Its movements were like flowing water. The sword shook the 9 provinces. The 10 heaven-mending grand elders were still completely suppressed. On the other side, Lin Yuzhen blocked the heaven-mending pavilion master by herself. The sound of a phoenix shocked the world. Her incomparably elegant movements and techniques did not have the slightest flaw. Even someone as strong as the heaven-mending pavilion master, the master of a sect, could not break free. On the ground, the Dawn Moon House master used the yellow spring to mercilessly open the path to hell. Almost half of the 100 heaven-mending sovereigns were killed in the blink of an eye. Qi Wenju and Jiang Yun worked together, but they were all injured. They could not block the might of the yellow spring. The 3 strongest experts blocked most of the heaven-mending pavilion's forces, creating an opportunity for knowing destiny. In the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion, Ning Chen's advancing footsteps stopped. 4 elders in ancient clothes walked out from their coffins. Their bodies emitted a rotten aura as they took half a step into the yellow spring. The 4 peak true realm experts attacked together. Ning Chen's Zhu Xian and Taishang appeared at the same time. The yin-yang formation was activated, and the Taiji transformed into power. With the formation as the foundation, this was a battle technique with both offense and defense. the attacks of the four venerables seemed to have fallen into a quagmire. Their might was greatly reduced. Entering the divine realm, the yin-yang formation was activated. Ning Chen's body was surrounded by two-colored brilliance. Taisher and Zhu Xian slashed out. The formation rotated rapidly, supporting the might of the two swords. Phoenix flames swirled in the sky, and a murderous aura was fatal. Two powerful palms arrived. Taisher in Ning Chen's hand spun. With a clang, it blocked the attacks of the two venerables. They faced each other head-on. Furious currents surged. Within the yin-yang formation, dazzling brilliance shook. The remaining shockwaves roared and surged. They were transferred to the heaven and earth by the formation. Mountains sank and the earth fell. Palaces collapsed one after another. After one wave of attacks, another wave followed. The other two elders in ancient clothes attacked from the left and right. Their powerful palms shocked the sun and moon. Sword technique, nothing. The two swords spun. The two swords activated the formation's power to block the two venerables' palms. The entire heaven-mending secret realm's great earth began to rumble and tremble, unable to endure the might of the two extreme martial powers. Sword style, air severing. Defending two, attacking one. Ning Chen condensed his vital energy. Evil chi surged on the fairy-slaying sword. The incomparably sharp celestial sword cut open the void and slashed towards the nearest old man in ancient clothing. The immortal might was unparalleled, and baleful energy filled the air. The old man in ancient clothes focused his energy on his palm, blocking the immortal sword with his strength. With a muffled groan, the old man took half a step back. His cloudy eyes looked at the young man in front of him with surprise. His arm gradually cracked apart as time nibbled away at it. A strange power of laws circulated around him, speeding up the passage of time. Time seal. The old man in traditional robes spoke for the first time in a hoarse voice. The other three elders also stopped and stood in different positions. Their eyes narrowed slightly. To them, time was their greatest enemy. They were people who already had one foot in the grave, so they couldn't be corroded by time. For the sake of protecting Heaven-Mending Pavilion, you have worked so hard. This humble one admires you. However, our positions are different, so I can only offend you. As soon as he finished speaking, the red light around Ning Chen's body was extremely bright. The Zhu Xian resonated. Above the two swords, two colors of brilliance shot into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. It was earth-shattering. Sword technique, prairie blaze. A sword set the prairie ablaze. The great formation gathered power, and endless phoenix flames soared. The flames condensed time, turning the entire battlefield into a sea of flames. The four old men in ancient clothes focused their eyes. Their true essence linked together, and under the perilous waves of true essence, they resisted the divine flames. The divine flames raged. Under the influence of the true essence, it was difficult for them to approach. However, time left no traces, and they were unable to resist it. The four people's faces immediately became even older. Competing with the azure ocean, the four of them took half a step back. Waves surged around their bodies. With the four of them working together, their bodies became even stronger. The formation trembled. Under the impact of the four people's power, it violently swayed and showed signs of instability. After a moment of deadlock, the battle erupted with power. The dual polarity formation was broken, and the undercurrent trembled. The four old men in ancient clothes all flew out and vomited blood when they landed. At the center of the aftermath, a drop of blood silently dripped down from the corner of Ning Chen's mouth and landed in front of him. Facing four old monsters who were comparable to the most powerful experts of the present age, even someone as strong as Ning Chen found it difficult to completely withstand the aftermath of the battle. It was the first time he was dyed red. The dual polarity formation was broken, and the balance between yin and yang collapsed. Ning Chen lightly shouted, and the taisher in his hands swept out, absorbing the aftermath of the great formation. Red radiance rushed into the sky, and the sword light cut open the curtain of the sky and descended from above. The extreme heaven sword's might was boundless and unrestrained. The heaven and earth sensed it, and the sound of countless chains swayed, echoing the extreme heaven sword. In the next moment, the sword light descended into the mortal world. The world-destroying aura shook the entire heaven-mending secret realm. Time curled around it, and it almost solidified. Above the void, the expression of the heaven-mending pavilion master, who had been stopped by Prince Qi, changed greatly. He looked down at the battle below, and shock appeared on his face. Being distracted in battle, "Are you looking down on me, pavilion master?" As he spoke, lightning flashed. Lin Yuzhen's figure swept over, and the cry of a phoenix waved past. Her killing intent was not concealed in the slightest. The heaven-mending pavilion master came back to his senses. He flipped his palm to block the sword. With a bang, he continuously retreated several steps. On the other side, Shenji's sword shook off the 5 Taishang who were close to him. His eyes looked at the battle in the distance, and a strange expression flashed through his eyes. The 9th disciple of Mahist's sect had indeed become even more terrifying. How far was he from that crucial step? At the same time, the heaven-mending martial chief and the right protector joined hands to attack. The Dawn Moon House master forced the two of them back with a palm. The underworld divine spear stabbed into the ground, and a silver light spread out. The heaven-mending venerables were unable to bear the heavenly might, and their bodies exploded. Blood and bones rained down like rain. Knowing destiny, this house master will wait for the day you break through the destiny of heaven. With the help of the 3 sides, the extreme heaven sword descended from the sky at the most crucial moment of the battle. The expressions of the 4 old men in ancient clothes were abnormally grave. The true qi around their bodies rose, and with a flip of their palms, they joined hands to block the extreme martial sword. With a bang, the sword light descended, and the ground beneath the 4 people cracked, sinking several zhang. With the support of time, the extreme heaven sword suppressed the 4 people. With a rumbling sound, the 4 people's bodies began to crack. The sword light streaked across one after another, bringing with it a waterfall of blood. Seeing this, Ning Chen's figure flashed, and he arrived in front of them in a flash. With a slash of his sword, 2 heads flew up, and blood spurted out like a tide. Without the 2 people's resistance, the extreme heaven sword fell. The 2 old men had to bear the sword's might. Immediately, blood dyed their bodies, and they looked extremely miserable. The moment you chose to appear, the ending was already decided. Go on your way in peace. Ning Chen moved, and with extreme speed, the sword light had already passed. The underworld path returned, welcoming the people who should have arrived long ago. Ping, pung, the 4 figures fell one after another, smashing into the sky. In the passage of time, no one could escape forever. In the end, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. 4 venerables died in battle. In the heaven-mending secret realm, the powerful cultivators were all shocked, unable to believe what was happening in front of them. In the current world, if the 4th realm did not appear, the peak of the true realm was the strongest in the world. Who would have thought that the 4 venerables of the previous generation would all die in battle? At this moment, in the depths of the heaven-mending secret realm, tens of thousands of rays of light shone. A celestial pagoda shining with green light rose up. The pagoda was 9 inches tall, and there were 9 floors in total. On each floor, layers of runes shone with dazzling brilliance, and it was so heavy that it made it difficult for people to breathe. Linglong Pagoda. Feeling the terrifying aura from the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion, Shenji, Lin Yuzhen, and the Dawn Moon Tower's master all looked over at the same time. When they saw the 9-floor celestial pagoda appear in the rays of light, their expressions all froze. On the ground, Ning Chen looked at the celestial pagoda that rose into the sky, and his eyes narrowed slightly. With the appearance of the celestial pagoda, water vapor within the heaven-mending pavilion immediately became abundant. After a moment, a huge waterfall fell down like a heavenly river. The waterfall that weighed more than 10,000 pounds pressed down on the 5 intruders. In the sky, Shinji's eyes narrowed, and the purple cloud godly sword slashed down. With a prung sound, the waterfall in front of him was dispersed. On the other side, Lin Yuzhen also circulated her true yuan, and the cry of a phoenix was waved, and the sword split open the heavenly waterfall. The inheritance of the ancients is truly incomparable to a normal sect. In the third battle, the Dawn Moon Tower's master softly muttered. Her cultivation erupted, and the air around her stirred, blocking the heavenly waterfall. In the final battle, in the center of the Linglong celestial pagoda's killing intent, Ning Chen's eyes were like stars. The phoenix essence of his two swords rose, and the fire phoenix appeared, spreading its wings and rushing into the 9 heavens. Water and fire, the celestial pagoda hummed, and the phoenix cried. Drip drip. The sound of blood dripping down was so faint that it was hard to detect. Ning Chen's sword-wielding hands overflowed with blood. After receiving most of the immortal might, he suffered a backlash. In the sky, the phoenix faced the sky and let out a final cry. It loudly dispersed the waterfall and directly crashed into the celestial pagoda in the sky. In the world shaking, the phoenix scattered. On top of the celestial pagoda, layers of symbols flickered, and its aura fluctuated. In the blink of an eye, Ning Chen's figure flashed past, and the execution of immortals split open the heavens. Bloody light streaked across the horizon, and a bloody scar appeared on the heaven and earth. With a loud rumble, the celestial pagoda fell. The 9-inch-tall celestial pagoda was like 10,000 mountains. The moment it smashed into the ground, the earth within 1,000 li caved in. Dust and sand rolled about, and waves swept across. The heaven-mending pavilion that suffered a great calamity was in a complete mess. Countless halls were destroyed, and it was a scene of desolation. Ning Chen walked forward, and did not pay attention to his blood-soaked arms. His cold eyes looked towards the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion. If they still had some hidden power, it was about time for them to come out. The silent cold wind blew up the blood-soaked dust. The atmosphere immediately became strange. The sounds of battle in the distance did not stop, and this place was so quiet that it made people's hearts palpitate. It sounded like the sound of drums, but also like the sound of footsteps. In the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion, an indescribable aura appeared. In the blink of an eye, the dust disappeared, and the shattered halls returned to their original positions. A middle-aged man in green clothes walked out. His face was ordinary, and the aura around him was almost undetectable. He was just like an ordinary mortal. "Let's stop fighting." His voice was casual and did not carry a trace of threat. However, the moment he spoke, the entire world became quiet, and no other sound could be heard. In the 3 battles, Shenji Linyuzhen and the Dawn Moon Tower Master felt the power of laws change around them at the same time. The moment they made their moves, it was as if they had fallen into a swamp, and it was difficult for them to move. He finally came out. The Dawn Moon Tower Master looked at the man in green clothes in front of her and said seriously. In the sky, Shinji's eyes flashed with brilliance. Was this heaven-mending pavilion's final trump card? The Reverend Moon Tower Master took a step forward, and a strange expression appeared on her beautiful face. She said, "Are you sure? Is he the 4th level?" "I'm not sure yet. We'll know after we fight," Shinji said calmly. His tone changed, and he continued, "However, we have to be mentally prepared. If this person is really the 4th level, it will be very difficult for us to escape unscathed today." In the center of the battle, Ning Chen looked at the man in green clothes who was slowly walking towards him. His expression also became serious. He waved his left hand, and a red light filled the sky. Chapter 830. In the heaven-mending mystery realm, the situation suddenly changed. The man in green walked out, and the entire battlefield became quiet. An unprecedented pressure stepped on the hearts of Ning Chen and the others. Inside the heaven-mending secret realm, the ground shook slightly as if it couldn't bear this power that surpassed the mortal world. "I am Qi Kuanglan." His voice was so casual and calm, but it was as heavy as a mountain, making it difficult for people to breathe. Dust rose without wind, adding to the austere atmosphere. In the 3 battles, Shinji Linyuzhen and the Dawn Moon Tower Mistress had repelled their opponents. They glanced at the red-robed young man from the corner of their eyes, and a trace of worry flashed across their faces. For the time being, they couldn't get away to help. Could Ningchen stop this person? One-on-one, fair and just. There is no victor, only life and death. Ningchen waved his hand and pressed down on the celestial trapping sword. His entire body glowed with red light as he fully activated his martial arts, stirring up the wind and clouds. All right, I'll allow you. Qi Kuanglan raised his hand and replied calmly. Drink. With a loud shout, Feng Yuan rushed into the sky. The hair on Ning Chen's head was shattered, and his blood-red hair danced in the wind. Wave after wave of energy rolled out, shaking the heaven and earth. Since his rebirth, this was the first time he had gathered all of his power. Sword light after sword light flew out, crisscrossing the heaven and earth, causing the universe to change color. The figure that disappeared in an instant reappeared, and the battle had already begun. With a loud bang, the immortal slaying slash fell. The two extreme powers clashed, and the ground within 100 miles cracked, sinking several feet into the ground. Close at hand, the sword light danced like lightning, exchanging blows with extreme speed, exchanging blows with extreme force. I'm surprised that there's a young expert like you in the human world. The palm and the sword exchanged dozens of moves. Flames of war soared into the sky as vast energy surged. The sword light was as dazzling as thunder. Wherever the aftershock passed, the laws were destroyed and all things ceased to exist. The knowing destiny state cultivator had reached an unprecedented level of combat power. His body moved like lightning and his sword moved like a bolt of lightning. Before anyone could see his figure clearly, he brandished his sword. Qi Kuanglan didn't say a word, but his admiration was evident in his brows. He raised his cultivation once more, and with a flip of his palm, vast and mighty waves spread out for thousands of kilometers. He no longer held back and went all out to deal with the stunning young man before him. To the east of the sea, Ning Chen's palm was extremely powerful, and a phoenix shadow appeared at an extremely fast speed. Blood spilled out from the corner of his mouth. He took 100 steps back and stabbed his sword into the ground, stabilizing his body. Blood splattered onto the ground as the silhouette moved again. His sword drew a line between life and death. 3 feet in front of the swordsman was a domain that absolutely could not be violated. The sword light was like thunder, shining like the stars in the sky. The thunderous force was fast and powerful. Qi Kuanglan flipped his palm to catch the sword. In an instant, the sword light left as soon as it touched his palm. The next strike was powerful enough to split the heavens. Oh! A strange look flashed in Qi Kuanglan's eyes. His figure shifted to the side, evading the sword light. With a flip of his palm, 10,000 waves surged into the sky. Bang! Ning Chen swung his sword, and the red light that filled the sky gathered on the Zhu Xian sword. With a swing of the sword, he forcefully took on the raging waves. Ning Chen's right arm was bleeding profusely. The blood dripped down along with the immortal sword and landed on the ground. It was a glaring sight. You are still young. In another 100 years, you might be able to surpass me, but right now, you are still not my opponent. Qi Kuanglan looked at the young man in front of him and calmly said, Admit defeat. Enter my heaven-mending pavilion, and I will spare your life. No need. Ning Chen propped himself up with the help of his sword. Red light flickered around his body as he suppressed his injuries. He looked at the person in front of him and said, Come again. Stubborn. Qi Kuanglan's expression gradually sank. He took a step forward and instantly rushed forward. His palm was as heavy as a raging wave as it slammed toward the former. The Zhu Xian sword swept across and blocked vast energy. With a world-shaking tremor, a black-clothed demonic figure appeared behind the red-clothed man. His ice-cold eyes didn't contain the slightest bit of human emotion. Demonic? Seeing the person in front of him, a strange look flashed in Qi Kuanglan's eyes. This person had actually kept a trump card. Bloody flames strike the heavens. Crimson Viper of the demonic realm reappeared in the world. The demonic figure waved his sword, and blood-colored flames swept out, cutting through the raging waves and attacking the former. Qi Kuanglan flipped his palm to block the blood-colored flames. With a thump, he took half a step back and waved his hand to disperse the demonic flames. His eyes turned cold. Such pure demonic essence. Sword style, crimson remnant. Demonic style, bloody path. The two figures appeared at the same time with completely different powers. The holy and yang phoenix and the demonic and cold heavenly demon both stepped forward and joined forces to raise the flames of war again. With a violent tremor, Qi Kuanglan blocked the two swords with his palms. The aftershock spread out and dust rolled like waves, turning the world upside down. After one move, the two figures moved again. One heavy and one fast, one cold and one hot. The demonic style was wild and wild, while the phoenix style was calm and emotionless. The most perfect combination, attacking and defending at the same time, forcibly evened out the battle. After several moves, the sky fell and the earth fell. Qi Kuanglan faced the two figures of knowing destiny alone. He opened and closed his palms with boundless power. The rumbling shook the world. The demonic figure attacked while the phoenix restrained the enemy. There were no flaws in the combination. Even someone as strong as the number 1 Skymender didn't dare to be careless. He raised his hands and feet and dealt with it with full concentration. In the other 3 battles, Xinji, Lin Yuzhen, and the waning Moonhouse Master felt the white-hot battle in the distance. A strange look flashed in their eyes. It's not the 4th realm. Behind Xinji, Reverend Baiyue spoke. He's not far off. Xinji said seriously, the most terrifying thing is that this person isn't like those old monsters who are nearing the end of their lifespans. His vitality is at its peak. Even if he hasn't completely stepped into the 4th realm, his battle prowess should be extremely close. On the other side, Lin Yuzhen waved her sword and pushed away the heaven-mending pavilion master in front of her. She looked at the battle in the distance with a worried expression. In the 3rd battle, the waning Moonhouse Master, who was blocked by the experts of the heaven-mending pavilion, sensed the increasingly intense battle in front of her. The yellow springs in her hand flourished, and she pushed away the heaven-mending martial leader and the right protector who were blocking her way. Her figure flashed and flew into the sky. A change occurred in the battle. Many people reacted. The waning Moonhouse Master entered Prince Qi's battle. Her vigorous palm energy condensed and slapped towards the heaven-mending pavilion master. The heaven-mending pavilion master couldn't react in time to the sudden attack. He hurriedly blocked it, and with a muffled groan, he flew out in red. In an instant, Lin Yuzhen waved her sword and slashed down. The Phoenix Cry sword emitted 10,000 rays of multicolored light and crisscrossed with thunder. With a loud bang, the sword slashed towards the heaven-mending pavilion master again. Behind her, Qi Wenju and Jiang Yun, who had hurriedly rushed over, stood in front of her to block the sword. They immediately let out a muffled groan as they suffered a heavy backlash. Prince Qi, the waning Moonhouse Master reminded. I understand. Lin Yuzhen replied. With a graceful step, she leapt towards the distant battle. In the depths of the heaven-mending secret realm, the battle between the two bodies and Qi Kuanglan was becoming more and more intense. The number 1 mending the heavens, whose body had already entered the 4th level, had a frightening cultivation. Every move he made had the power to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. Space after space was destroyed and restored, shocking the world. The two bodies' figures intertwined. Qi Lian and Zhu Xian's baleful aura surged violently. They slaughtered millions and formed a path of their own. They cut through the natural laws, and their sword auras were oppressive. Rumbling sounds rang out. Under the suppression of the peerless realms, although the two bodies were gradually injured, their attacks did not decrease. They used offense as defense, calm and crazy. In the distance, Lin Yuzhen hurriedly rushed over. Lightning flickered on her Phoenix Cry sword. The instant she was about to enter the battle, she suddenly felt a chill around her body. Above the void, ancient war chariots appeared out of thin air. Black arrows pierced through the air and arrived in front of her in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, Lin Yuzhen's expression became serious. Her footsteps turned, and she avoided most of the arrows. At the same time, she waved her Phoenix Cry sword to block the first wave of attacks. Left protector. Outside the battle, the injured Qi Wenju, Jiang Yun, and the others arrived on top of the war chariot. When they saw the beautiful figure that appeared, their faces were filled with joy. She had finally rushed back. Within the heaven-mending pavilion, the left protector was the only one who could match the pavilion master in both strength and prestige. However, she had always been in charge of expanding the territory outside and had never returned. Those who offend my heaven-mending pavilion will be killed without mercy. On top of the war chariot, Qi Xian, who was dressed in black soft armor, coldly said. Soon after, she took a step forward. Her halberd pierced through the air and chopped down towards the people below with the force of 10,000 caddies. Lin Yuzhen's eyes became serious. She waved her sword to meet the attack, but with a loud bang, a wave of dust soared into the sky around the two people. In the first exchange, the left protector Bu Tian met Prince Qi alone. He did not show the slightest bit of fear. His divine halberd was tyrannical, and his strength surpassed 10,000 caddies. Another variable came. In the distant battle, the Dawn Moon Brothel Master and Shen Ji both frowned. Their luck was really bad. This woman's strength was not weak, and she came back at the wrong time. Shen Ji, end this quickly. Worried about Ji Ming's safety, the Dawn Moon Brothel Master glanced at the purple-clothed figure on the other side of the battle and said. Shen Ji nodded. He turned his palm and slashed across his sword. Immediately, above the purple clouds, boundless purple chi surged out. An incomparable pressure swept out and forced the 10 venerables to retreat. Spring and autumn soared, 10,000 things enlightened. The heavenly law extreme technique appeared in the mortal world. It was a realm that only those who had peeked into the 4th level could reach. Now that it had appeared, the universe was shaken. In the depths of the heaven-mending pavilion, Qi Kuanglan sensed something. He looked at the distant void and a strange expression flashed through his eyes. In this era, there was actually someone who had peeked into the secrets of the 4th level. 6 ultimates of the sky demon, burial of 1,000 gods. Seeing a sliver of opportunity, the demonic chi around the demonic body surged. The royal clan's absolute technique appeared in the mortal world. Boundless turbulence surged on the scarlet drill sword. Black lightning crisscrossed and slashed through the air. Qi Kuanglan came back to his senses. His expression became serious. The cloud on his palm descended from the sky and blocked the royal clan's absolute technique. Sword technique, heavenly sword. The moment the palm and sword collided, the phoenix body condensed energy. The sword light soared into the sky. The extreme sword slashed down, splitting the sky and earth. With a loud explosion, Qi Kuanglan raised his hand to block the attack again. His body sank and his knees sank into the ground. You're not bad. The splashing vermilion red stained his green clothes. Qi Kuanglan waved his hand to disperse the aftershock. His eyes gradually became cold. The injuries on his hands automatically healed, leaving no trace behind. There was a clear gap between their realms. Although his two bodies were powerful at this moment, they were also showing signs of defeat. Demonic body. Ningchen looked at the black-clothed demonic body and said. The demonic body nodded. He took a step forward and his body soared into the sky. The 300-meter demonic body appeared again. In an instant, demonic waves surged in all directions and the starry sky shook. Stars transformation. The demonic body raised his hand. Thunder erupted between his fists. Above the 9 heavens, the phantoms of great stars appeared one after another. Each one was shockingly huge. The celestial demon royal clan's absolute technique appeared again. The great stars fell. It was like the end of the world. The entire heaven-mending secret realm shook, unable to bear the overflowing demonic might. The calamity of destruction descended upon the heaven-mending pavilion. Qi Kuanglan's expression changed slightly. He took a step forward and leaped into the sky. His hands condensed his cultivation to block the falling stars. Chapter 8:31. In the sky above the heaven-mending secret realm, stars fell and destructive power descended. The scene of doomsday was shocking. Mending the heavens was in danger. Qi Kuanglan leaped up. His hands circulated all of his body's techniques. Rolling clouds surged as he faced the destructive tribulation head-on. A peerless expert who was infinitely close to the fourth realm attacked with all his strength. Stormy waves surged in all directions. Layer after layer of heavenly waves rushed into the sky, blocking the falling stars. Boom! An extremely terrifying tremor sounded. The great stars and heavenly waves collided. Endless waves surged and roared. Heaven and earth instantly changed color. Thunder and rain fell and fog covered the world. Reincarnation tribulation. After the stars, the reincarnation tribulation appeared. Between the hands of the 100 Zhang demon, a river of stars swirled. An incomparably violent power crushed the stars and pressed down from the sky. The royal technique arrived again. Qi Huanglan's expression also became serious. He flipped his palm and held up the sky, blocking the reincarnation tribulation. The heavenly demon secret technique erupted with the power to destroy stars. It shattered the void within 1,000 li. Above the heaven-mending secret realm, heaven and earth instantly turned into nothingness. Huge black holes appeared one after another. The scene was so terrifying that it made one's heart palpitate. At this moment, the other 3 battlefields were also affected by this great battle. Violent waves surged and everyone retreated one after another. Sword technique, formless sword. In the raging waves, the red-clothed figure flashed past. The wind and clouds on the immortal slaying sword changed. The infinitely concentrated sword gathered the heroic energy from all directions and pierced towards the heart of the person in front of it. Absolute speed broke through the gap between realms. Qi Huanglan, who had continuously memorized the techniques of the demon, didn't have enough time to recover his energy. The immortal slaying sword broke through the protective energy and pierced into the former's body. Ugh! With an undetectable groan, the sword penetrated half an inch and couldn't go any further. Qi Huanglan grabbed the immortal slaying sword with his left hand. Blood flowed down and dyed his sleeve red. Impudent! With a bang, he forcefully countered with a palm. Ning Chen couldn't withdraw his sword in time. His body flew out and blood dyed the void. Demons devour the heavens. The phoenix body retreated and the demon body advanced again. Thousands of demonic shadows appeared in the sky and rushed forward one after another. Explosions sounded one after another. Demons devoured the heavens and drowned Huanglan's body. Cloud hand. At this moment, a voice rang out amidst the demonic aura. A gigantic palm that blotted out the skies appeared, shattering the attacks of the 10,000 demons with a single palm strike. The green-robed figure appeared, as strong as ever. Not good. Seeing that the battle in the distance was in imminent danger, the expressions of the Dawn Moon House Master and the others changed. They wanted to rush over to help, but they were unable to do so. Are you anxious? Sword and halberd collided. Qi Xian looked at King Qi and indifferently said, Patriarch Huanglan has already awakened. Mo Gate's 9th son will definitely die. You don't need to be too anxious. You'll meet again in the Yellow Springs soon. As a woman, I have to say that you are really annoying. Lin Yuzhen's face flashed with murderous intent. Her sword was as graceful as a swan, and she once again displayed the demeanor of a king. Qi Hua immediately felt the pressure on him increase, and he waved his halberd to resist the king's fury. Lin Yuzhen, who was truly enraged, no longer showed any mercy in her moves. Every move she made was ruthless, forceful, and overbearing. A woman's anger is truly terrifying. Your Highness, do you need my help? Shinji's silhouette appeared. The heavenly path technique broke through the encirclement and appeared on the battlefield nearby. No need. You go and help him. Leave this person to me. Lin Yuzhen took a step forward. Her body was like a dancing phoenix as her sword slashed through the air. Sword and halberd collided once more. Blood flowed out of Qi Xian's right hand. A king's might could not be blasphemed, and she was injured for the first time. On the other side, the Dawn Moon House Master was standing alone in the sky. With the Yellow Springs in hand, she was like a divine general that had descended. She blocked all the venerables on her own. Housemaster, you're finally willing to help. The Reverence Moon House Master walked over and softly said, Everyone is fighting with their lives on the line. How can I be lazy? The Dawn Moonhouse Master swept out her spear. Silver light blossomed, and the venerables were forced to retreat. "Don't let anything happen to him," said the Dawn Moonhouse Master. "Since the House Master has instructed us, we will naturally do our best." With that, the Reverence Moonhouse Master's figure disappeared into the distance. His aura continued to rise. A white moon mark appeared between his eyebrows, reflecting the cold moon rising from the east. The Reverence Moon Clan's high priest had revealed his true appearance for the first time. In the depths of the heaven-mending secret realm, Ji Ming was facing the number 1 venerables of the heaven-mending secret realm. The battle had already lasted for nearly 100 rounds. The combination of power and speed was perfect. Both sides were dyed red. Qi Kuanglan stood tall, alternating between offense and defense. The contempt in his eyes was no longer there. He was fully focused on the battle. He knew that the young man in front of him already had the qualifications to make him use his full strength. 9 refinements of heavenly cleansing, torrential torrent. With a raise of his hand, dark clouds fell from the sky and waves of water surged. A power that surpassed the power of words descended from the sky. A terrifying pressure spread out, causing the world to darken. Demonic flames prairie. Torrential torrents of demonic flames rose. The 300-meter-tall demonic body punched out, causing a sea of flames to surge and engulf the world. With a boom, the water and fire collided and rapidly melted. The moment the demonic body's strength was exhausted, phoenix flames soared into the sky. "You're the first one in 1,000 years to have this kind of ability at such a young age." Qi Kuanglan wasn't stingy with his praise. Qi Kuanglan's true yuan rose again, and torrents of water gradually engulfed the sea of flames. In a few hundred years, or even 100 years, this young man might have the strength to stand on equal footing with him. However, he was still too young right now. With insufficient true yuan, both of them retreated several steps. The gap between their foundations and realms was gradually revealed. Even if their experience was unparalleled, even if their battle prowess was shocking, it was still difficult to cross the heavenly chasm of cultivation at this moment. The 300-meter-tall demonic body returned to its original form. The two glanced at each other and no longer hesitated. Their aura rose as they raised their hands to face each other. The demonic phoenix heavenly tribulation suddenly appeared. The forbidden sword was about to be unleashed. The world rumbled. At this moment, 2 figures appeared and raised their hands to stop the attack. "You've done enough. Retreat and heal your injuries. Leave this battle to me and Shinji," Reverend Baiyu said softly. Ning Chen's eyes narrowed. The aura of the two dissipated and merged into one. He reminded, "Be careful. This person is very strong." Reverend Baiyu nodded. "Don't worry. We're also very strong." Ning Chen didn't say anything else. His figure flashed as he temporarily retreated from the battle. "Sorry, Your Excellency's opponent is now us." Reverend Baiyu looked at the azure-robed man in front of him and said calmly, "Reverend Baiyu clan, I didn't expect you to also come out into the world." Qi Kuanglan said indifferently when he saw the mark between the eyebrows of the woman in front of him. "The world is unpredictable. My clan naturally can't choose to remain in seclusion. Isn't Your Excellency's Butian Pavilion the same? You've been in seclusion for many years. Didn't you choose to come out again today?" Reverend Baiyu replied. "Unfortunately, we can't become friends." Qi Kuanglan looked at the young man who had retreated from the battle and said regretfully, "It's hard to be friends, but it's easy to be enemies." Reverend Baiyu waved his hand and the moonlight around him flourished. A bright moon rose behind him and a never-before-seen power appeared, freezing the world. "Let's see if you're qualified." After saying that, Qi Kuanglan's expression turned serious. He raised his hands, causing waves to surge. The power to overturn the heavens and earth distorted everything, shocking everyone. The first move, Reverend Moon Shakes the Raging Waves, was supported by the moonlight. With a boom, Reverend Baiyu retreated half a step, falling into a disadvantageous position. Zan ran, "Stay your hand." Reverend Baiyu retreated and Shinji's figure flashed. Above the purple clouds, Purple chi surged. A power comparable to the fate of an emperor broke through the sky and arrived before Butian Quanglun. His palm energy shook the divine blade and split the world. Reverend Baiyu arrived in an instant. His slender hand drew the moonlight in the sky and slammed down. Good. Qi Quanglun advanced instead of retreating. He condensed his palm energy and met the attack head-on. It was a battle that surpassed common sense. The three of them displayed strength that surpassed their peak. Every move they made could destroy the world. Not far away, Ning Chen was watching the battle. Light flashed in his eyes. He had always known that Shinji, the Dawn Moon House Master, and Reverend Baiyu were hiding their strength. Today, he finally knew how terrifying the three of them were. They could look down on a region by themselves. They indeed had the capital that ordinary people couldn't compare to. Zeming Marquis, you need to step into the immortal treading realm as soon as possible, no matter what method you use. Otherwise, you'll be eliminated by this era. In the distance, the Reverend Baiyu transmitted her voice. Thank you for your reminder. I know what to do. Ning Chen nodded. The Reverend Baiyu waved her spear to push back the reverends from Butian Pavilion. She withdrew her thoughts and didn't say anything more. She had already reminded him. As for whether he could do it or not, it was up to him. The opening of the ancient battlefield wasn't just about those forgotten immortal tools and techniques. Those who had obtained fortuitous encounters would advance faster than others. However, the true meaning of the opening of the ancient battlefield was to replenish the source energy that was gradually being exhausted. Although it wasn't much, it was enough to support some people to step into the fourth realm. Therefore, the most important thing now was time. If they couldn't step into the fourth realm before the source energy was exhausted, they would once again fall into the nightmare of nearly 10,000 years. That Gu Yao was already infinitely close to the fourth realm. This Butian Pavilion's Qi Quanglun was also the same. There were also Shinji, Baiyu, and other overlords. Everyone was waiting for an opportunity to step into the immortal treading realm. There weren't many opportunities like this, and they would become fewer and fewer. If they missed it, it would be forever. Zeming Marquis wasn't bad. However, in this glorious era, he was only not bad. Because his talent was too lacking, he couldn't step into the immortal treading realm. In another 100 years, he wouldn't have another chance to compete with the heroes of the world. Phoenix dances in the heavens. Not far away, Lin Yuzhen, who was blocked by Butian's left protector, finally exhausted her last bit of patience. Her true essence rushed out and her long hair danced wildly. She took a step forward, and the space below her shattered. Her sword condensed into lightning, and her king's might was vast and mighty. Qi Hua waved his halberd to block the attack. An almost undetectable groan came from his mouth. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He was heavily injured again. I hate women, but I hate those who block my path even more. Her hair crown was shattered, and her long hair danced in the wind. Lin Yuzhen's appearance also changed a bit. She was less handsome and more beautiful. Her original appearance was restored, and she gathered all her power. Lin Yuzhen's figure moved again, and the sound of the Phoenix Cry sword resounded through the world. It was clear and powerful. Qi Xian received another attack, and her injuries worsened. She retreated again, and the shock in her eyes was difficult to conceal. She didn't expect that this Prince Qi hadn't used his full strength just now. The situation of the three-sided battle changed again. The wind and clouds rolled, and the changes were unpredictable. Chapter 8:32. In the heaven-mending secret realm, the situation had changed. Knowing destiny retreated, and Shinji and Baiyu took over, joining forces to fight Butian Quanglun. In the farthest battlefield, the Dawn Moon House Master no longer hid her strength. She blocked all the venerables by herself. Her terrifying strength was eye-catching. At the same time, Prince Qi returned to his original appearance and fully unleashed his techniques. Phoenix cries howled in the sky as he suppressed the left guardian Butian. This was a true battle between the top. Every battle was filled with flames of war. The shocking scene made the creatures on the ancient planet tremble. Outside the battle, Ning Chen retreated temporarily. He watched the battle while recovering his body. The intensity of this battle was beyond imagination. Heaven-mending pavilion strength was also shocking. Qi Kuanglan alone was enough to leave all the inheritances in the world in the dust. He was a peerless powerhouse who still retained his vigorous vitality and lifespan. He was far from the Hall of the Dead's half-step fourth realm 10th ancestor. This Qi Kuanglan had truly stepped into the fourth realm. While thinking, Ning Chen's body was surrounded by the aura of the Phoenix demon. His two bodies healed themselves, not interfering with each other. Saints and demons were natural enemies. The Phoenix demon belonged to the power of the saint, and it was difficult to merge with the demonic power of the demon body. Forcefully merging would only backfire on oneself. Not far away, Shinji and Baiyu were fighting Qi Kuanglan. The battle was getting more and more intense. The number one Budian, who was comparable to the fourth realm, gathered all his power. He raised his hand and the wind and clouds changed, commanding heaven and earth. Shinji's sword was like flowing water. Above the purple clouds, the purple qi became more and more majestic. His 1,000 years of cultivation and knowledge were all released today. He was not afraid even when facing a peerless powerhouse who had surpassed the half-step fourth realm. In a head-on battle, the divine sword shook the raging waves. Every move was destructive. It was a shocking battle that surpassed the peak of the human world and shone for all eternity. The cold moon rose from the east. Under the moonlight, Baiyu the Venerable's aura also became stronger and stronger. His delicate hands were like peerless divine weapons. After exchanging 100 moves, Qi Kuanglan fought 1 against 2. His moves were majestic, and he did not fall into a disadvantage. 9 refinements of heavenly washing, raging waves. When the battle reached its climax, Qi Kuanglan used his ultimate move. Suddenly, thousands of heavenly waves coiled around him. Seeing this, Shinji took a step forward. The purple cloud sword in his hand shone brightly. His extreme techniques were combined, and the sword light shone brightly. At the side, Baiyu's figure flashed and appeared behind the former. With a flip of his palm, he condensed Yuan Qi and sent out a palm attack. Purple cloud rainbow. The purple heavens slashed down, and the sword light cleaved open the starry sky. Raging waves followed, and with a boom, the two extremes collided. In the aftermath, the two figures retreated half a step before stabilizing their bodies. On the other side, Qi Kuanglan waved his hand to block the shockwaves and took half a step back. His expression didn't change much. In a move that was evenly matched, no one had gained the upper hand, but no one had lost either. Baiyu stepped out from behind Shinji. A strange expression appeared on his extraordinary face. There was no doubt that the person in front of him was the most powerful person in the world, if the fourth-level old monsters were not included. Again! The madness on Qi Kuanglan's face grew even stronger. Taking a step forward, he turned his palm into a fist and punched out with a vigorous and domineering force. Shinji's eyes turned cold. Even though they were right in front of him, he did not dodge. Instead, he raised his hand to receive the punch. Half a step down, the sword light slashed down. Close combat was even more dangerous. The air around the two of them constantly vibrated. Their fists and feet collided, tearing apart everything. Satisfying. Qi Kuanglan let out a long roar and raised his Zhenyuan once more. With another punch, he forced the person in front of him back. Heavenly moon illuminates the 9 prefectures. The moment they separated, Baiyu's move arrived. Moonlight poured down, swallowing the world. This was an unavoidable move. Qi Kuanglan took in a deep breath, his true essence surging to protect his body. Rhino Heavenly Finger. The moment the two moves collided, Baiyu used his ultimate move. He gathered True Yuan with a finger and instantly reached the front, breaking through Qi Kuanglan's trembling True Yuan. Ugh! With a soft groan, Qi Kuanglan's True Yuan was broken. The finger entered his body, bringing out a waterfall of blood. Back off! With a shout, Qi Kuanglan flipped his palm and sent Baiyu flying. The splashing blood dyed the void red. Baiyu staggered a few steps and barely managed to stabilize himself. How are you? Not far away, Shinji asked. I'm fine. Bai Yu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and answered. Outside the battle, Ning Chen, who had been watching for a long time, had recovered more than half of his true yuan. Demonic chi and phoenix essence surged and gathered. The phoenix demon opened the formation, manifesting yin and yang. The Taiji diagram rose into the sky. Endless yin and yang energy surged from all directions, engulfing the wind and clouds and shaking the stars. Qi Kuanglan sensed it and his expression sank. He took a step forward, wanting to stop the former from condensing his move. Kun Wei Yigan Qi. In an instant, Shen Ji's figure appeared in front of Qi Kuanglan. Purple clouds rose and draconic qi took shape, swallowing the former. Emperor Qi Kuanglan. Qi Kuanglan's eyes narrowed. He waved his hand and shook off the draconic qi. He took half a step back. 1,000 years ago, I was also the ruler of a dynasty. Shen Ji said indifferently. Purple clouds coiled around his body. His incomparably noble temperament made people not dare to profane him. The purple clouds trembled. The draconic qi contained a draconic aura. Waves of draconic roars were faintly discernible. Its might was vigorous and overbearing, shaking the world. The draconic roar reached the 9 heavens. Shen Ji's figure moved again. Purple clouds surged and strengthened the divine sword's might. On the other side, Reverend Baiyue channeled the power of the moon and joined hands to suppress the battle. They clashed again. The flames were even stronger than before. The void between the three shattered. The aftershocks surged and became even more violent. Outside the battle, Ning Chen's phoenix demon energy continued to gather around him. The Taiji diagram above his head spun faster and faster. Inside the heaven-mending secret realm, spiritual qi surged rapidly and converged into the yin and yang formation. Qi Kuanglan wanted to break out of the encirclement and stop them. However, the two joined hands and couldn't break through. It was difficult to break through for a while. Seniors, please step back. After accumulating power for a long time, Ning Chen transmitted his voice to the two. Then, Taisher crossed his hand, its might soaring into the sky. Shen Ji and Reverend Baiyue heard the warning and attacked at the same time. Then, they took a step forward and left the battle. Qi Kuanglan flipped his palm to block the two's combined attack. He glanced at the young man not far away and his expression changed. 6 Tao fall, myriad demonic tribulations, grand forbidden sword. He stepped into the 9 heavens. In the sky, a black phoenix appeared amidst the violent sword waves. Its demonic qi covered the sky and the moon. Demonic phoenix heavenly tribulation. The appearance of the demonic phoenix heavenly tribulation signified the end of the world. The terrifying sword pressure swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The entire heaven-mending secret realm disintegrated for no reason. The apocalyptic scene was extremely shocking. The next moment, the demonic phoenix fell from the sky and crashed into the people below. Heavenly cleansing 9 refinements, starry river dazzling. Seeing this, Qi Kuanglan's expression turned serious. He used his strongest move and soared into the sky. 9 waterfalls coiled around him, dazzling like the starry sky. Boom! An instant later, an earth-shattering collision sounded. The waves roared and the aftermath surged. Amidst the shocking destruction, the two figures flew out, dyed red. Baiyue. Shen Ji spoke when the opportunity appeared. Baiyue nodded. With a wave of her delicate hand, the heaven-stabilizing chessboard appeared. Everything in the world instantly stopped. In an instant, Shen Ji moved. Purple clouds broke through the sky and slashed at Qi Kuanglan. Naive. Qi Kuanglan raised his hand to grab the sword. His left hand, which was bleeding, blocked the fatal strike. His right palm condensed yuan and slapped out. Shen Ji frowned. His footsteps trembled as he withdrew his sword and avoided the palm energy. Seeing that the opportunity had been missed, Ning Chen, who had suffered the backlash from the previous collision, shone brightly. The demonic body bore the full brunt of the aftermath. The phoenix body left his body and shot out with extreme speed. The sword pierced through Qi Kuanglan's chest before he could react. Qi Kuanglan retreated, his blood and qi shook violently. 6 ultimates of the celestial demon, eternal banishment. Unable to miss this opportunity, the demonic body transformed into a demonic avatar. The void between the hands of the demonic body shattered. A boundless spatial tearing force came, forcefully swallowing the two. Qi Kuanglan's expression changed as he entered the void. He wanted to break free, but it was already too late. His true essence was disrupted by the sword Qi that entered his body. Farewell. The phoenix body withdrew his sword and soared into the sky. He looked at the figure that was gradually disappearing into the void and said coldly. A moment later, the void was restored. Heaven and earth returned to normal. Not a single trace could be seen. The battle had come to an abrupt end. No one present could recover from their shock. The number 1 heaven-mending expert had been banished into the void for eternity. What a terrifying young man. The Reverend Moon Venerable looked over and saw the black and red figures standing in the void. He had a grave expression. When it came to grasping opportunities, Shi and Shinji, who had lived for 1,000 years, didn't dare to say that they could surpass this kid. Drip. Blood dripped down, staining the black robe. The demonic body's injuries erupted. Demonic qi spread wildly. Heal your injuries first. Leave the rest to me. The phoenix body stepped forward and said. The demonic body nodded. His figure dissipated and merged into the phoenix body. After the demonic body returned, Ningchen looked at the 2 people not far away and said, Seniors, I'll have to trouble you to help the house master and Prince Qi. After saying that, Ning Chen's figure flashed and rushed toward the heaven-mending ground. Shinji narrowed his eyes. He looked back at the 2 battles behind him and said calmly, Reverend Moon, go and help Prince Qi. Understood. The Reverend Moon Venerable replied. His figure flashed and rushed toward the battle. Shinji looked into the distance. He didn't hesitate anymore. He stepped forward and rushed forward. Done. In the sky, the Dawn Moon House Master waved her spear and pushed away the venerables. She didn't even look back as she asked. Shinji nodded. Then I'll have to trouble you to help, the Dawn Moon House Master continued. With the House Master's strength, 1 person is enough to deal with them, Shinji said calmly. Heh. The Dawn Moon House Master chuckled and said, It's better to end the battle quickly. Things might change if we take too long. Who knows if there's a true 4th realm in this heaven-mending secret realm? I think, Shinji, you don't want to face these old monsters so soon. The House Master's words are reasonable. Shinji nodded. He waved his hand and a sword appeared. The purple cloud sword streaked across the sky and joined the battle. Just as the battle at Heaven Mending Pavilion was coming to an end, figures in strange clothes descended from the sky outside the ancient star. In the next moment, an ancient palanquin slowly descended. A powerful sword intent spread out from it. It surpassed the peak and was unique in the world. Sword slave, go and deliver the sword invitation, a gentle voice said softly from the palanquin. Yes. Of the 4 figures, the one at the front respectfully accepted the order and immediately rushed toward the heaven-mending secret realm. Chapter 8:33. In the heaven-mending secret realm, the battle was coming to an end. Shinji and Baiyu made their moves, and the already exhausted heaven-mending sect immediately fell into a desperate situation. Above the void, 1 figure after another fell from the sky and landed with a thud. Blood flowed and dyed the earth red. In the battle between the winner and the loser, no one held back. After a bitter battle, the heaven-mending pavilion that had been dominating the region for tens of thousands of years was destroyed today. Its vitality was greatly damaged. Qi Kuanglan was exiled, and the heaven-mending pavilion's master was heavily injured. The heaven-mending pavilion's strongest force was wiped out in 1 day, and they no longer had the strength to fight back. In the depths of the heaven-mending secret realm, Ning Chen's figure appeared in a turbulent forbidden area. Looking at the heaven-mending forbidden area in front of him, his expression became serious. If he guessed correctly, this was the heaven-mending pavilion's most secret place. He hoped that no more variables would appear. The heaven-mending forbidden area was a 100-li forbidden area. Everywhere was deathly silent. and not a trace of life could be seen. Ningchen walked in. Zhu Xian and Zhu Xian coiled around his body, and a powerful aura circulated, dispersing the surrounding yin qi. After walking 100 steps forward, a change suddenly occurred. On the ground, a bright light flashed and disappeared in a flash, leaving no trace behind. Ning Chen's eyes narrowed. He took a step forward, and his body turned into a red light as he quickly chased after it. One after the other, the flowing light chased with extreme speed. In the blink of an eye, they were already 100 li away. This is 100 li away. Ning Chen calmed himself down. He waved his right hand, and sword intent filled the sky, forming an inescapable net that sealed off 1,000 zhang of space. Amidst the crisscrossing sword lights, a palm-sized gourd appeared. On top of the gourd, a little boy that seemed to be carved from jade sat shivering, his young and tender eyes looking at the person in front of him, full of fear. Seeing this, Ning Chen frowned slightly. An immortal medicine that gained intelligence? Immortal elder, please spare my life. The little boy was less than 3 inches tall. He sat on the little gourd with a gourd leaf on his head. Looking at the human in front of him, he said in fear. Ning Chen did not say anything. He flipped his right hand, and immediately, a powerful suction force came out, capturing the little boy. Although the human-shaped immortal medicine was only the size of a palm, it was like a treasure house of spiritual qi. Just smelling its aura made one feel relaxed and happy. Swallow it, the main body has a 70% chance of awakening. Demonic qi surged out, a cold voice sounded. Demon! The little boy exclaimed with a look of fear on his face. What are you still hesitating for? The demon said coldly. Immortal elder, spare me. The little boy knelt on the gourd and kowtowed repeatedly. Ning Chen looked at the little man on the gourd and fell silent. It's a spiritual medicine in the first place. It was born to be eaten by others. What are you hesitating for? Phoenix body, you are not the savior of the world. Put away your useless mercy. The demon body coldly shouted again. Senior Immortal, please spare me. On the small gourd, the boy's delicate face was filled with fear as he trembled. More and more demonic qi surrounded Ning Chen. It was boundless, and it dyed the heavens and earth black. What is your purpose in coming to the heaven-mending pavilion? Have you forgotten your previous lesson? If you miss this kind of immortal medicine today, where will you find it again in the future? Within the demonic energy, the devil's voice became colder and colder, making people tremble with fear. Demon body, we have already killed enough. Ning Chen gently tapped the boy's forehead and said, Come with me. I won't take your life. The little boy hesitated for a moment. After a while, he respectfully bowed and said, Thank you, immortal elder. After speaking, the little boy's figure flashed and flew to Ning Chen's shoulder. His expression was still filled with fear and restraint. Don't be afraid. I said I won't take your life, so I won't go back on my words. Ning Chen looked at the deathly silent forbidden area in front of him and said with a serious expression, Phoenix body, your mercy really makes me hate you. As he spoke, the surging demonic qi gradually converged and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After the demonic qi disappeared, the little boy on Ning Chen's shoulder finally calmed down a little. He sat on Ning Chen's shoulder and carefully said, Immortal Elder, there are still many great medicines here. Can I help Immortal Elder find them? Ning Chen calmly said, Lead the way. The little boy nodded and immediately sat on the small gourd and flew forward. Ning Chen followed behind. He released his divine sense and was on guard for any unknown dangers. Not long after, on the cold ground, a strangely shaped medicine king appeared. It had a strong vitality that attracted people's attention. Ning Chen walked forward and waved his hand to catch the medicine king. He looked at it and casually put it away. Seeing Ning Chen's indifferent expression, the little boy nervously said, Immortal Elder, there's more ahead. Continue to lead the way, Ning Chen said with a calm expression. Okay. The little boy nodded and continued to fly forward. Ning Chen quietly followed behind. Looking at the little gourd the little boy was sitting on, a thoughtful light flashed in his eyes. This little boy's original form should be an immortal vine. Everything has a spirit, but only a handful of immortal vines can truly develop consciousness. Ningchen really couldn't bear to destroy it. The vast and boundless forbidden area seemed to have condensed the laws of space. Great medicines were scattered everywhere, almost devouring the spiritual qi on the ground. Within 10,000 miles, not a single blade of grass could grow. In an hour, the little boy had already brought Ningchen to 4 precious medicine kings. As the only immortal medicine in the forbidden area that had developed consciousness, the little boy was very familiar with the surrounding terrain and saved a lot of time. Immortal Elder, this is all. On the small gourd, the little boy said nervously, these years, the spiritual qi here has gradually dried up. Most of the medicine kings have also been taken away by humans. There aren't many left. That's enough. Ningchen nodded. With a wave of his left hand, the immortal trapping sword appeared in his hand. He stabbed it into the ground, and the ground within 10,000 miles began to rumble. Under the ground, the sword qi cut through the spirit vein. Within the violent tremors, the spirit vein's foundation collapsed. The overflowing spiritual qi continuously poured into the immortal trapping sword. It completely destroyed the spirit vein below, and there was no way for it to recover. Outside the forbidden area, the experts of the heaven-mending pavilion felt the destruction of the spirit vein. Their gazes all changed, and their faces revealed shock. In the sky above the ancient planet, a faint sigh came from the floating palanquin. I never thought that the famous heaven-mending pavilion would suffer such a great calamity today. The strength of these 5 people is truly more terrifying than the last. Although they are strong, compared to the 3rd pavilion master, they are still incomparable. A sword slave respectfully said, "Don't say such words again. Disrespecting the strong is disrespecting yourself." In the palanquin, the gentle voice of the woman once again said, "Before stepping into the 4th realm, with the strength of these 5 people, no one dares to say they can definitely win. Even I can't." Hearing this, the sword slave respectfully lowered his head, not daring to say anything else. In the forbidden area of the heaven-mending forbidden area, the immortal trapping sword cut through the earth vein. Endless red light crisscrossed, cutting through space and creating cracks. Under the ground, boundless spiritual qi unceasingly poured into the immortal sword, causing the sword's pressure to become even more terrifying. Ningchen's hands quickly formed seals, and one restriction after another was formed. The Yellow Springs restriction opened, sealing the immortal sword and slowing down the dissipation of its power. A moment later, Ningchen waved his hand and put away the immortal sword. On the side, on the little gourd, the little boy saw this scene. His delicate little face was filled with shock, and he was unable to recover for a long time. "Let's go," Ningchen said, then turned around and walked towards the outside of the forbidden area. The little boy came back to his senses and slowly flew to Ningchen's shoulder. He was a bit nervous as he said, "Immortal Elder, my name is Little Gourd." Ningchen faintly smiled, nodded, and noted it down. Little Gourd plucked up his courage and stretched out his little hand to pull on Ningchen's hair, sitting a bit more steadily. At this moment, space shook, and a blue-robed youth appeared. He waved his right hand, and a sharp sword light flew out. Within that sword light was a faintly discernible sword scroll that emitted a bone-chilling coldness. Mo Gates' 9th son, in 100 days at the Sword Pavilion Sword Competition, I invite you to come and discuss the world's heroes. The sword scroll arrived in front of Ningchen, and its power didn't decrease in the slightest as it cut through space. Ningchen stopped and frowned. He raised his right hand and received the sword scroll with his fingers closed. The one and only sword, which had surpassed the peak, invisibly scattered the sword intent on the sword scroll. "Many thanks for the pavilion's invitation. I will consider it," Ningchen replied calmly and continued to walk forward. In the sky, the blue-clothed sword servant didn't speak any further, and its figure faded before vanishing. Not long after, the blue-robed sword slave returned and respectfully bowed. "Third Pavilion Master, the sword scroll has been delivered." "What did they say?" asked the woman in the palanquin. Shen-ji and Prince Chi have clearly stated that they will attend. Mo Gate's ninth son didn't give a direct answer. He only said that he would consider it, replied the blue-robed sword slave. Understood. Let's go back. After speaking, the woman in the palanquin didn't say anything else. The palanquin rose and flew towards the depths of the starry sky. The 4 sword slaves followed behind and left together. At the same time that the 5 left, a bitter battle in the heaven-mending secret realm was nearing its end. The heaven-mending pavilion had suffered a great defeat and had suffered heavy casualties. However, Shen-ji, the Dawn Moon House Master, and the others didn't kill them all. They all chose to stop before going too far. Ning-chen walked over and looked at the battle that had stopped. He said, "Many thanks, everyone. Let's go." Shen-ji and the Dawn Moon House Master nodded. They stepped forward and soared into the sky. Lin Yuzhen arrived beside Ning-chen and looked at the little boy on his shoulder. She revealed a strange expression and said, "A human-shaped immortal medicine?" Ning-chen nodded and said, "I obtained it in the heaven-mending forbidden land. This trip wasn't in vain." The heaven-mending pavilion actually had such a divine item. It's really shocking. However, Brother Ning took this immortal medicine and destroyed the heaven-mending pavilion's earth vein. There will definitely be many troubles in the future, reminded Lin Yuzhen. It's fine. Ning-chen lightly shook his head and said, "Even if I didn't do this, the enmity between me and the heaven-mending pavilion would still be difficult to resolve. Unfortunately, with my current strength, I still can't completely destroy this disaster." "It's already enough," Lin Yuzhen softly said. "After this battle, the heaven-mending pavilion's vitality has already been greatly damaged. If we continue to force them, we might draw out those old monsters who should have died long ago. The gains don't make up for the losses." Ning-chen nodded. When Qi Kuanglan appeared, he already understood that it was already impossible to destroy the heaven-mending pavilion today. A Qi Kuanglan not only represented a battle strength that surpassed the peak of the true realm, but also meant that the heaven-mending pavilion really did have resources that could allow people to enter the 4th realm. That Qi Kuanglan was already infinitely close to this realm. It was only a matter of time. Chapter 8:34. A group of people traveled through the vast starry sky. 10,000 miles away, they stopped and bid each other farewell. "Your Highness King Qi will meet again in the Sword Pavilion in 100 days. Shen-ji looked at the woman in men's clothes and said, "Goodbye." King Qi cupped his fists and bowed. Shen-ji nodded and looked at the man in the silver-gray cloak. He said, "Pavilion Master, you're welcome to come to the Divine Ji Peak again when you're free." "Of course." The Dawn Moon Pavilion Master smiled. "We'll meet again." Shen-ji said one last thing before he turned around and left in the other direction of the starry sky. Reverend Bai Yuan nodded at the 3 people in front of him, then followed him. After the 2 left, the Dawn Moon Pavilion Master looked at the 2 people beside her and said, "Your Highness, Brother Ning, there's only 100 days until the Sword Pavilion's sword competition. Before that, why don't you rest at my Dawn Moon Pavilion for a few days?" Lin Yuzhen thought for a moment and nodded. "All right, then I'll have to trouble you." "It's my pleasure." The Dawn Moon Pavilion Master smiled and looked at Ji Ming. "Brother Ning, what about you?" "I still have some things to do for now. After I'm done, I'll visit the Dawn Moon Pavilion," Ning-chen said calmly. "Then I'll wait for Brother Ning at the Dawn Moon Pavilion," the Dawn Moon Pavilion Master replied. Ning-chen nodded. His figure flashed and he transformed into a phoenix and left. "Your Highness, let's go," the Dawn Moon Pavilion Master said. "Okay." Lin Yuzhen withdrew her gaze from the distance and followed him. Beside the Mi River, the autumn wind blew. In the lake, the red lake water drifted with the wind, creating little ripples. The sun was about to set in the west. The sky gradually darkened, and there was a sense of desolation. A red-clothed figure walked over under the setting sun. Her calm face did not show any emotions. The red-clothed figure stopped at the riverside and stood there quietly. The place where the undying peach tree grew in the past had become a land of death. For many years, no plants grew. It was so quiet that it was a little scary. Ning Chun stood in front of the lake quietly, looking at the lake water dyed red by the blood of the venerables. His eyes flashed. The phoenix manifested, and the white-clothed figure that was in a deep sleep flew out. Her aura was stable, but she still showed no signs of waking up. Demonic chi surged around Ning Chen's body as his demonic body took shape. He stood to the side and looked at his real body floating in the air. His eyes, which were as deep as an abyss, turned serious. When the little gourd saw the demon appear, its young face immediately tensed up. It subconsciously grabbed the hair of the person next to it and hid behind it. Ning Chen waved his hand and 4 herb kings appeared. In the air, the trapping immortal flew up. Boundless spiritual chi of the earth filled the air and poured into the herb kings. Once the spiritual energy entered, the 4 king medicines began to grow crazily, as if they had received rain after a long drought. After a few breaths of time, the outer layers of the 4 king medicines were torn apart inch by inch, and a refreshing medicinal fragrance permeated the air, making people feel relaxed and happy. The medicinal clothes that were taken off fell to the ground. The 4 king medicines revealed their sparkling and translucent medicinal bodies. Their spiritual energy was oppressive, almost materializing. In the void, the earth-veined spiritual chi continued to flow out from the celestial trapping sword, urging the 4 stalks of king herbs to grow. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, time passed by slowly. The cold moon rose, and under the moon, red light flashed. The king herbs grew faster and faster, transforming again and again. At this moment, changes suddenly occurred. The spiritual chi in the 4 king herbs that were constantly transforming suddenly vibrated. The side effects of forcefully growing appeared. Cracks crisscrossed, and the spiritual chi began to leak out violently. Little gourd. Ning Chen looked at the little boy on his shoulder and said, The little gourd responded crisply and flew to the 4 stalks of king herbs. It bit its finger as if it was afraid of pain. Then, it reached out its white and tender little hand and dripped a drop of blood on each stalk of king herbs. In an instant, a dazzling brilliance rose. The cracks on the 4 stalks of king herbs healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and they transformed again. Red, gold, green, and purple, 4 different colors rose. The vitality of the 4 different stalks of king herbs was as vast and boundless as the ocean, unfathomable. In the void, the trapping immortal sword that had exhausted its earth-veined spiritual chi dimmed and slowly fell from the sky. Ning Chen waved his hand and put away the immortal sword. He looked at the demonic body and said calmly, "Let's begin." The demonic body nodded and raised its hand. The demonic aura around it surged and turned into raging waves that spread out and poured into the main body. Ning Chen also raised his hand. Phoenix aura coiled around it, and the sound of a phoenix rang out. An endless stream of true essence entered the main body. The phoenix and the demon worked together. A powerful force stirred, and the yin and yang were born. 2 pillars of light, 1 black and 1 red, rose up, and the formation appeared. It affected the spiritual chi in the surroundings and strengthened the phoenix demon's power. In the void, Bai Yi floated up and down. Her abyss-like body swallowed all the energy that entered her body. It was bottomless, as if it could never be filled. The yin and yang formation opened. The 4 stalks of king herbs shone brightly. The majestic medicinal power was released in the formation, and it merged with the phoenix demon's power into the main body. From night to morning, the phoenix demon worked together to save the main body by the Mi River. The yin and yang formations spun rapidly. The black and red light was dazzling, and a shocking vision appeared between heaven and earth. It was like the sun rising from the east, illuminating the world. Above the 2, the spiritual chi of the 4 stalks of king herbs was constantly being absorbed. It merged with the phoenix demon's power and stimulated the awakening of the undying divine tree in the main body. A night passed, but there was still no change. In the air, the small gourd looked at the unconscious Bai Yi not far away. A hint of struggle flashed across its small face. A moment later, it bit its finger again. Drops of blood flowed out and flew forward. The power of the human-shaped celestial herb merged with it. Suddenly, the entire yin and yang formation lit up. Majestic vitality surged and drowned by Yi's figure. Seeing this, the demonic body looked at the little boy outside the formation. Demonic chi surged in its eyes. The human-shaped celestial herb was indeed extraordinary. If it could obtain all of its medicinal power, the main body might be able to wake up immediately. Demonic body, I already promised it not to harm its life. It has tried its best. Don't kill it, the phoenix demon said. The demonic body snorted and withdrew its gaze. It raised its demonic vitality again and poured it into the main body. On the side, the phoenix demon responded at the same time. Its phoenix vitality urged again. Scorching red light surged and increased the power of the yin and yang formation. The three sides worked together. The four stalks of king herbs scattered and their power completely merged with the main body. The two bodies' power was also rapidly consumed as they made a final effort to awaken the main body. The small gourd's finger had already scabbed over many times. It bit it again and again, causing blood to fly out. It did its best to help the two. Another day passed and the sun set in the west. The afterglow of the setting sun sprinkled on the Mi River, reflecting a glaring bloody light. After 1 day and 1 night, the two bodies' true essence gradually dried up. Even if the yin and yang formation continuously absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, it was unable to maintain such a terrifying consumption. Outside the yin and yang formation, the small gourd's face was full of fatigue. It swayed on the ground and could no longer fly. Boom! Right at this moment, above the 9 heavens, the weather suddenly changed. The originally clear sky suddenly became densely covered with dark clouds. Streaks of lightning streaked across the horizon and illuminated the dusky world. Oh no! The two bodies' expressions changed. They looked at the horizon with shock. Heavenly tribulation. The immortal tribulation had arrived, and the world mourned. The ground within 10,000 miles rumbled and an abnormally terrifying pressure descended from the sky. It was as if the laws had condensed into substance. It was so heavy that it made it difficult for people to breathe. The two bodies staggered and their legs sank into the ground. Their bodies that were almost exhausted found it difficult to resist the might of the heavens. The main body's immortal tribulation. Ningchen looked at Su Yi floating in the void and said with a shocked expression, "Tribulation." The demon body said in a deep voice. It rose from the ground and blocked in front of the main body. It was fully focused on dealing with the impending tribulation. Ningchen moved at the same time. His figure flashed past. Phoenix flames rose from his body as he stood in the void, waiting for the tribulation to arrive. The most difficult situation was that the main body had yet to awaken, and the two bodies' true essence were almost exhausted. The winds and clouds of the 9 heavens changed, and the heavenly tribulation descended on the mortal world. With a rumble, tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended. It was as if doomsday had arrived. The entire void turned into a sea of lightning that devoured the heavens and the earth. Ningchen stepped forward, and Zhu Xian appeared in his hand. He slashed with the sword and met the lightning that filled the sky. 10,000 demons roared to the heavens. The demon body moved at the same time. 100 feet tall demon body appeared and punched the sky. Tens of thousands of demons soared into the sky. With a loud rumble, the two bodies joined forces to resist the heavenly tribulation. With a world-shaking vibration, blood splattered and dyed the void red. The two bodies that were exhausted retreated. Specks of vermilion scattered and fell from the sky. Reincarnation tribulation. The demon body stopped moving. Black lightning weaved between its fists. The void swirled, and the reincarnation tribulation appeared. The royal clan's ultimate technique rose against the heavens. The majestic demon might shook heaven and earth. Boom! Heavenly lightning pierced through heaven and earth. Lightning bolts that were dozens of feet thick fell, killing the heaven-defying demon body. The heavenly might was vast and endless. The reincarnation tribulation collapsed. With a muffled groan, the demon body was heavily injured again. Blood stained its body, and it was miserable and dazzling. Sword technique, extreme heaven. The sea of lightning was endless. The phoenix body waved its sword and soared into the sky. The dazzling sword light cut through the dusky world and soared into the clouds. The sword light arrived, and the lightning bolts were 10,000 feet long. The green lightning instantly turned red, and the sky was dyed red with blood, destroying all resistance. Lightning fell again. The phoenix body that had not recovered enough energy was dyed red again. Drops of blood flowed from the corner of its mouth. Star transformation. Hunwu. The two bodies attacked again. Great stars appeared, and the sword technique split open the sky. The abnormally powerful extreme might collided with the lightning and blocked the heavenly tribulation. However, the two bodies' strength was already exhausted. Although the technique was shocking, its power was far from its peak. Lightning tore through the sky and shattered the two bodies' ultimate technique. Two muffled groans sounded. The two bodies retreated more than 10 steps. Blood flowed from their bodies and dyed their clothes red. They could not resist the heavens, and they could not defy fate. Before stepping into the immortal tribulation, the two bodies that were completely exhausted found it difficult to resist. They retreated step by step and were on the verge of death. Demon Phoenix Heavenly Tribulation. There was no way out. The two bodies looked at each other and activated the last of their techniques. They joined forces to defy the heavens. In an instant, demonic energy and phoenix essence surged. The demon phoenix appeared and rushed into the sky. Long. The appearance of the forbidden technique was felt by the 9 heavens. The thunderclouds stirred rapidly. In the giant black vortex, a blood-red lightning that illuminated the world descended from the sky. It was so dazzling that it illuminated the world. The lightning struck the demon phoenix. After a moment of stalemate, the demon phoenix's dharma form collapsed. The two bodies flew out and smashed onto the ground. The two bodies landed. Above the void, an ancient and strange stone gate appeared. It was as majestic as a mountain. The power of laws lingered around it, making the dragon gate heavier. The next moment, the dragon gate descended from the sky and suppressed the 3 bodies of the knowing destiny state. Chapter 8:35. The night was terrifyingly silent. Beside the Mi River, the dragon gate descended. The 3 bodies of knowing destiny were suppressed and shackled. After the heavenly tribulation, the entire world was devastated. The cold moon hung high in the sky, making it even colder. On the ground, the 2 unconscious bodies gradually woke up. They had been seriously injured and their bodies were cracked. Beside them, the lake water hit the lakeside. A cold wind blew, causing ripples. In the void, Su Yi's body was still unconscious. The 3 bodies were suppressed by the dragon gate and bound forever. Violent coughs echoed. Ning Chen staggered up and looked around at the devastation. Exhaustion flashed in his eyes. Beside him, the demonic body also stood up. His aura shook and his body was in an unstable state. We failed. The exhaustion in Ning Chen's eyes became stronger. He felt powerless. The demonic body clenched his fists. He looked at Ning Chen and coldly said, "Your useless kindness has made our path even more difficult." Their main bodies hadn't woken up in time and had failed to pass the tribulation. Now, their 3 bodies were suppressed by the dragon gate and their bodies were severely restricted. If they wanted to pass the tribulation again in the future, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Not far away, the small gourd half buried in the ground listened to their conversation. It trembled and didn't dare to breathe loudly. Ning Chen looked over and sighed. "We have too much blood on our hands. I don't want to lose even this last bit of conscience. Demonic body, our path has never been easy. In fact, we were already mentally prepared for this result. To us, becoming a celestial isn't something that can be changed by whether our main bodies wake up or not. If the heavens don't allow it, there is nothing we can do." The demonic body clenched his fists again. His eyes were as dark as an abyss. They had fought against the heavens their entire lives. They had won and lost. However, at the most critical moment, they had been thoroughly defeated. Ning Chen suppressed the injuries in his body and walked in front of Su Yi. He raised his right hand and the phoenix appeared behind him and swallowed his main body. Let's go. The Sword Pavilion's sword competition isn't far away. Before that, let's go to Dawn Moon Pavilion and meet with Prince Chi. After saying that, Ning Chen walked off into the distance. The demonic body withdrew his gaze. Without saying a word, his body dissipated and merged into the phoenix's body. Behind him, the small gourd broke free from the ground and flew up to follow him. In the cold night, the water rippled in the Mi River. The red lake water was so glaring. Perhaps knowing destiny was destined to suffer. People came and went in Jinxi City. The ancient city was bustling with prosperity. Xiao Yuchang. The first floor was full of guests. On the stage, dancers dressed in light muslin danced. Their graceful figures made it hard for people to take their eyes off them. Behind the beaded curtain, Hong Wan raised her hand and played the zither. The pleasant sound of the zither reverberated in the loft, causing the bustling guests to quieten down. On the second floor, Lin Yuzhen stood in front of the sky room. Her hair was tied up high, and she was dressed in simple yet noble male attire. She exuded the majesty of a king. Is your highness still worried? In the bright room, the Dawn Moon House master asked while trimming the flowers and plants. It's not that I'm worried. This king is very confident in Brother Ning's strength. It's just that the will of heaven is unpredictable. Who knows what kind of changes might occur? Lin Yuzhen replied calmly in front of the heaven room. In terms of strength, no one below the fourth realm dares to say that they can defeat him, but in the bright room, the Dawn Moon House master put down the scissors in her hand and picked up the copper pot for watering. She continued, this time, he's not fighting against humans, but against heaven. Since ancient times, only a few people have survived against heaven. Although knowing destiny is strong, it's hard to be stronger than heaven. Knowing destiny? Lin Yuzhen frowned and asked. The Dawn Moon House master did not answer. She said while watering the flowers and plants, in this sword conference, the immortal slaying sword and immortal trapping sword will definitely attract many people's attention. Sword Pavilion is the head of the 4 pavilions, and its strength is even stronger than Butian. Although I don't know why Sword Pavilion invited so many sword masters, Brother Ning's identity is bound to attract a lot of trouble. I understand what you mean. If Brother Ning enters the treading celestial realm, he naturally won't need my protection. If he fails, I'll do my best to protect Brother Ning in the Sword Pavilion, Lin Yuzhen said seriously. Ning Chen is really lucky to have a friend like your highness, the Dawn Moon House master said calmly. This king treats sincere people with sincerity. Since House Master has repeatedly placed bets on Brother Ning, I believe that the reason is the same as this king's, Lin Yuzhen lightly said. Your highness' words are indeed correct. In the bright room, the Dawn Moon House master reached out and cleaned the weeds in the flowers. She said calmly, I'm a businessman, and I can't do a losing business. However, businessmen also need to gamble sometimes. Brother Ning's tolerance is worthy of me betting my chips. If I win, I'll ascend to the sky step by step and prove my great Tao. If I lose, I'll start all over again. No one can compare with your vision and decisiveness, Lin Yuzhen sighed softly and said. Your highness is too kind. The Dawn Moon House master calmly replied and said, I don't know what will happen in the future, but at least until today, my bet on Brother Ning has been paid off. I always believe that I didn't choose the wrong person this time. On the first floor, the sound of the zither was indistinct as singing and dancing filled the air. All the guests were intoxicated by the music and couldn't take their eyes off it. At the end of the song, the sound of the zither stopped. Hong Wan stood up and put away the zither in front of her before walking towards the second floor. On the second floor, Hong Wan passed by the sky room and bowed towards Prince Chi in front of the room. Lin Yuzhen nodded and returned the greeting. Hong Wan stood up and continued walking towards the bright room. After receiving a knock on the door and receiving a response, Hong Wan pushed the door open and entered the room, putting down the zither in her hands. Your zither skills have improved, but your state of mind isn't calm, the Dawn Moon House master calmly said. Hong Wan nodded and didn't refute. Are you worried about him? The Dawn Moon House master didn't raise her head as she meticulously arranged the flowers and plants. Hong Wan nodded again and didn't refute. Do you know that his heart will never have you? He's the Jiming Marquis, the most affectionate but also the most heartless person in the world, the Dawn Moon House Master reminded. I know. Hong Yuan softly replied. It's good that you understand. More than 100 years of hardships have made him unable to give any more feelings. In this world, you can fall in love with anyone but him, the Dawn Moon House Master indifferently said. There was only one Jiming Marquis in the world. The current Jiming Marquis had probably put away all his thoughts and wholeheartedly wanted to become an immortal. Regardless of victory or defeat, he would do his best in this lifetime. Hong Yuan was silent as her eyes dimmed. No one appreciated her beautiful face covered by a veil anymore, and she didn't want to reveal it to anyone. Outside the Dawn Moon House, Hong Yi appeared and walked into the restaurant step by step. After greeting the shopkeeper, she continued to walk towards the second floor. In front of the sky room, Lin Yuzhen looked at the figure in red walking over and her eyes narrowed. What's going on? The realm concealed by the chaos volume was difficult to discern. However, Lin Yuzhen could still feel that the aura of the person in front of her was very different from before. Your Highness, I've made you wait for a long time, Ning Chen softly said. Did you succeed? Lin Yuzhen didn't say anything else and directly asked. Ning Chen lightly shook his head and said, I failed. When Lin Yuzhen heard this, her body trembled. After a moment, she recovered and said with an apologetic look on her face, This queen has been rude, but Brother Ning, don't be discouraged. With your strength, you will be able to successfully take this step sooner or later. Thank you for your auspicious words, Your Highness. Ning Chen faintly smiled and didn't look discouraged from failing the tribulation. It wasn't that he wasn't mentally prepared for this result. If it was so easy for a mortal to become an immortal, it wouldn't be as difficult as ascending to heaven. If he failed, he could find another way. His path hadn't been cut off yet. Since Brother Ning has such a mentality, it seems that I don't need to say those polite words of comfort. In the bright room, the Dawn Moon House Master stopped what she was doing and spoke. Ning Chen and Lin Yuzhen stepped into the bright room. Hong Yuan bowed to them and retreated to prepare tea. The Dawn Moon House Master walked to a copper basin and washed the dirt off her hands. She calmly said, Please sit as you please. Thank you. Ning Chen and Lin Yuzhen responded and sat down at the table. The Dawn Moon House Master took a white cloth and wiped her hands dry. She turned and walked to the table and said, Brother Ning, how does it feel to become an immortal? How is it different from when you help others? They can't be mentioned in the same breath. Ning Chen honestly replied, Without experiencing the immortal ascension, one wouldn't know how terrifying the heavens are. If the heavens don't allow it, human strength is truly insignificant and not worth mentioning. Perhaps I should think of other methods. Outside the bright room, Hong Yuan walked in with tea. Hearing their conversation, her expression became increasingly gloomy. Indeed, Sir Ning's heart couldn't contain anything other than immortal ascension. Inside the room, the Dawn Moon House Master sensed the aura outside and said, Hong Yuan, the tea is about to turn cold. Why aren't you coming in? At the door, Hong Yuan's body trembled. She forcefully suppressed her thoughts and walked into the room. She placed down the tea and poured them one by one. She softly said, Apologies, I was lost in thought for a moment. Housemaster, Your Highness, Sir Ning, please have some tea. Thank you. Ning Chen and Lin Yuzhen politely replied. Hong Yuan faintly smiled and didn't stay any longer. She turned around and left. The Dawn Moon House Master picked up the tea and took a sip before continuing. Brother Ning, you have to be mentally prepared. After failing the immortal ascension, your cultivation will definitely be suppressed by the Dragon Gate. After that, every time you make a move, the power of the Dragon Gate will become stronger until one day, your cultivation will be completely sealed by the Dragon Gate. Therefore, from now on, unless you have no other choice, Brother Ning, please don't make a move easily. I understand. Ning Chen nodded and said. On the side, Lin Yuzhen heard this and sighed with emotion. Brother Ning, in the Sword Pavilion Sword Conference, the immortal slaying sword and immortal trapping sword in your hands will definitely attract many people's attention. You have to be mentally prepared. Ning Chen nodded and said, The sword conference isn't a martial competition, so I don't have to make a move. As long as the sword pavilion and the experts participating in the sword conference aren't overbearing, I won't casually cause trouble. The sword pavilion's sword conference was also an opportunity for him. The sword pavilion had a long inheritance. They were good at swords, and good at forging swords. Back then, his star soul and natal sword were damaged in the heavenly punishment and couldn't be repaired until now. Perhaps he could use this opportunity to reforge the two swords. Opposite him, the Dawn Moonhouse Master drank the tea in her cup. Her calm eyes flickered with brilliance. Not long ago, she had used the scroll of light to deduce that their trip was extremely dangerous. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.